so we have our ritual that we do before class, that we say our prayer. So if you want to partake, please your eyes face the east. If not, just hold your peace. Face the east, 5 on the left, 2 on the right. Allah, the Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day, through his holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, Islam. Peace. We usually start off with our readings. Yeah, you could have a seat. We usually start off with our readings to be read every meeting that Noble Drew Ali told the Moors that they should be reading every meeting because of things that were going on in the Moorish movement back then. And we're starting to realize that a lot of the things that were happening back then are still happening today because of the same reason of certain things being put into the public for Moors to have knowledge of, what is going on in the Moorish movement, but then being deterred from following the lessons because they're chasing after, people that we would consider false prophets or, demigods or whatever, right? So he laid out some things. We're just going to put those out before we start. I inform all members that they must put an end to all radical and agitating speeches while on their jobs, homes, or on the public streets. We advocate peace and not destruction. Stop trying out your cards with the Europeans, for it causes confusion. There has been much confusion caused by members trying out their cards. The cards are for your salvation. Failure of obeying my orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members that seek to hold malicious feelings toward the temple or the prophet or to violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors must obey the laws laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, give up your card and button, cease wearing your turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. For this is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Drew Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet is sending out a divine plea to all true Moorish Americans that they may do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Noble Drew Ali. To the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Islam, these are the instructions from your prophet Noble Drew Ali. Be faithful unto your forefathers' divine and national creed, that you will be blessed for your good deeds that you sow in the flesh. Allah is the one that judges the world. His judgment is now on, but the weak comprehend it not. The end of time is drawing near, so says Allah to his divine prophet, I, Noble Drew Ali. And that is why many hearts have turned to stone, many have eyes to see but cannot see, ears to hear but cannot hear, lest they would be confounded of their sins. These are trying hours now, dear Moors, and every evil spirit is moving, and they are trying every weak mind to overthrow and drag out the true foundation of the true foundation that has been laid, and to cause confusion in the minds of the ones that do believe. But if you have the true love of Allah and the spirit of your forefathers, you fear not of what you hear or see, but will sacrifice the utmost of your very life to protect your movement and your prophet. Watch your enemies, dear Moors. Your enemies are the ones that speak against your prophet and ridicule him to the very lowest. The ones that speak against your divine and national principles of your temples. Act accordingly, and Allah will bless you for your good work. Peace, your divine prophet, Noble Drew Ali. To be proclaimed in every meeting. Islam, I am glad to know that I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There is a host of jealousy about me and the movement now, by the same people on our side of the nation that claim it was only a joke and unreal. But now, since they have found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens, they are working every scheme that they can to disqualify me, so they themselves may take charge of the situation. I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that attribute to the movement and uplifting funds. The ones that paid their divine respect to me and the movement will be remembered. That is why I am calling on all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finance and I need it badly. Never before have I needed finance so badly as I do at present, so I can shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my fame and nobility. The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without I, the prophet, being head. It has been proven by my works which I have performed in the last few years. There's love. So over the past few weeks, we've been having a lot of dialogue with regard to people within the Moorish movement that are specifically members of the Moorish Science Temple that are upset, disgruntled, or whatever like that, because our teachings, the teachings that are dealing with civics and law and stuff like that, is superseding their teachings of just be a good Negro slave with a fez on, and just get a license, and just listen to when the policy enforcer says get on the ground, and you know what I mean? And having that approach of just going with the people who are in power is the same approach that the people, when they were expelling the Moors and the Jews from Spain, the people who said, all right, fine, we're gonna go down with it, those people were classified as Moriscos. They were classified as little Moors, because they weren't really being who they really were, like the ancient foremothers and forefathers. They took the position of trying to convince people not to go with Harriet Tubman. Trying to convince, Rosa Parks, no, don't sit in the front, you have to go in the back and stuff like that, right? And they want people to play along with what's going on out there because, this is where we are right now, and, the dynamics of the politics and and then they bring in the social thing, and then they bring in, what's happening with quote unquote black people out there, like there's, something relative to us. And what we're saying is that individuals who study don't have those issues. And we use examples of, we use extreme examples of people. We use extreme examples of people who have stood up on their birthrights, but then what society would say, something negative happened, right? And then people are looking at the negative thing that happened as a way of not to deal with the fact that, this information can't assist you if you deal with it properly, right? So one of the most extreme examples that we use is a brother, Mario LB. He was dealing with some child support BS, whatever, right? He's like, forget this, I'm standing on my square, they kidnapped him, right? In the end of it, he ended up doing, I think, 3 weeks or something like that in the hole. Right? This is just for standing up on his birthrights. He never did anything to nobody, never hurt anybody, never hit his baby mom, all he didn't do was pay child support, that's all. And then he stood up as to questioning them on, well, who are you? If you guys are gonna tell me I need to pay something, then I'm gonna challenge you guys on who you claim that you are. Because based on my studies, I know that you guys can't be doing what it is that you're doing, right? So he took many for the team, just for him himself, right? Took many for the team. Went up, they offered him deals and stuff like that. I don't want your deal. I'm standing on what it is that I'm telling you. Fine, go back to the hole and all that. You know what I mean? Like waking them up 3 in the morning to go to some video court and stuff like that. That you know that these are the tactics that they're using, right? At the end of it, one night, called him up, gave him his bag, and opened the back door of the jail. Went home, and to this day, hasn't heard anything from those people about pay anything, right? The mother of his child, the people who he was dealing with that kidnapped him, and the people who were dealing with the child services, whatever, sent her a letter telling her that we're not even going to try to get nothing from that guy because he's not in our jurisdiction. Right? Now, we would look at that as, well, you know, brother found out some information, went and studied it. Based on the time that he put in studying it, felt to himself, because that has nothing to do with nobody else, that has to do with him and the situation what he was dealing with, right? Has nothing to do with where he got the information or nothing like that. All that's to do with is he had the information now. And based on him having it, he said, okay, you know what? I'm going to see if this is what it is. I'm going to use myself as example. And at the end of it, after being put in the hole, after whatever mistreatment that he got for standing up on his birthright, after the fact, he's still saying that he's more. After going through all that, he didn't throw in the towel and say about, well, nah, if I gotta go through that every time, then nah, I'm not even gonna deal with this. Because that's just too much for me to deal with or whatever. He didn't even go there. Still today, he's Moorish American. Right? Which lets us know if we're thinking individuals, which lets us know for him standing on Moorish nationality, whatever worked. Now, he doesn't have no issues with those people anymore. Regardless of what it is that he went through, the point is the situation is done. Ain't no more situation with these people. Ain't no more trying to go in his account, take money out and all this stuff is done. Just because he stood up on his birthrights. And then these individuals, these Moriscos, who are out here trying to convince people that, you know, what we're doing and what we're saying is anti-government and anti-law and against the law because we're standing up to, you know, the government, and those people are the government, we have to respect them and they make the laws and all this type of stuff, when these people who are saying that they're government, they're a fraud. They have nothing to do with the government. And anybody who goes with the position of their government and they have authority and whatever, and they're talking like that, we recognize those people as shills or agents or promoters for fake stuff. Right? They're not dealing with the real. They're dealing with assimilation. We're not dealing with assimilation. We're dealing with doing things out of private necessity because we're under occupation. That's different than assimilation. We're not saying blend in with the corporate whatever. We're saying we have our own jurisdiction. If we say that we're indigenous, if we say that we're Moors, if we say that we're American nationals, we're saying that we have our own position. That we don't have to be involved with your thing. And we can choose to be involved with whatever it is that we want to be involved in. We don't have to be involved 100%. Right? Because we know that the obligation that these individuals have is really to the people. It's not to their own personal ideal. It's not to their own whatever they think, you know what I mean, should be whatever, that we're going to go with that. Because we know that there's historical, lawful documentation that predates these people's position that they're trying to uphold now as the position. That there's something before you guys. Just like these guys say, yeah, Israel. Well, there's Palestine before Israel. So you can't tell me about Israel everything and Palestine nothing. When we know that Palestine is there. Right? We know that Bilal taught Muhammad. So if you're not going to respect the guy who taught the prophet, then what's the sense even talking about the prophet if you're not going to recognize the foundation that he comes out of? Right? And again, we're talking about somebody who was quote unquote an Asiatic Islam, or we're talking about somebody who was an Asiatic, right? What's up, bro? Good? All right, Islam. Right? We're talking about somebody who's Asiatic, right? And he quote unquote taught the pale Arab. And then nobody's not recognizing that he taught that he was taught by Asiatic. Everybody's chasing after him, right? As we get into this information, the realization takes place that we were born into something that wasn't really vibrating how it should be vibrating, right? Like ourself, the generation, say, of the 70s moving forward, they came in on a different frequency than the people before the 70s, right? They came in on a frequency that you know, recognizing that something's wrong, recognizing that something could be done about it, recognizing that if anything's going to be done about it, it's going to be us. Or us taking what it is that we have, passing it to the ones before us and let them handle it, right? As individuals come into this information, there is there's like a crew thing going on, cliques and different branches of whatever, instead of looking at it as nation, right? Everybody's trying to push their whatever it is that they belong to, not recognize a nation, right? Nuba Jwali had a writing called Divine Warning by the Prophet for the Nations, right? If that was really about the divine warning for the nations, it would have said divine warning for the nations by the prophet. The fact that it said divine warning by the prophet for the nations, letting you know that the prophet is for the nations, not the warning. That's why everybody should heed what he's saying. Because he's a prophet for everybody. He's not just prophet for Moors, Moorish Science Temple only. How they talk. Like, unless you're connected to Moorish Science Temple of America, then there's no hope for you, you know what I mean? Noble Juali, Allah, nobody's not looking out for you unless it's temple. Right? Yeah, we know that he founded that. Yeah, we know that there were different aspects of what he founded. But we also know that ultimately this has to do with bigger than the temple. If he's saying foremothers and forefathers, and he's saying national constitution, and he's saying American citizen, clearly this thing is way bigger than just this building right here. There's more stuff going on. But the only way that you're going to be able to experience what's going on is if you take your place amongst the affairs of men and be yourself out there. Because be yourself among Moors, that's one experience. But you go be yourself in the world as Moor. That's a whole different realm of experience, right? So these individuals had their little smear campaign going on against RV Bay Publications and Taj Tariq Bay specifically. And then they're using Canaanland as they're using Canaanland as the bullseye, because they already know that the people who founded RV Bay Publications and Taj Tariq Bay are not paying these people no mind. They never have paid them any mind. Every time these people come up and try to say that these people are teaching wrong stuff or whatever like that, those people never pay them no mind, right? because they know that these people are shills. They know that these people, they might not be directly paid by U.S. democracy to be an agent. But we know that if we trace these individuals' connection to Moorish Science Temple of America back, it's going back to either Gibbons L., who was corrupt and had people following him after Noble Drew Ali died, or C. Kirkman Bey, who was corrupt, and then they were following, people were following him after Noble Drew Ali died, or Emily L., who is said to have been the successor of Noble Drew Ali, but later on, his line got corrupt later. Right? To the point where the people who are around today that represent that body are scattered when they're supposed to be one body. Right? Those are supposed to be, it's supposed to be from Mila Il in 1929 to 2016 should be a direct succession. But when you check in that, there's stuff going on, right? Not to say that it's supposed to mean anything to cause, you know, people to not have faith in this or nothing like that, but it's to let people have the clarity of what this is and what has been going on, why certain things are where they are. So they're going to bring up the issue of, you know, well, what has Kudrow built, right? Because they have this thing in their mind about brick and mortar, and unless you do something brick and mortar, then that means you're not doing anything for the Moorish nation, right? This is their mentality. But, you know, all they're talking about right now, as far as the world is concerned, is online businesses. That people are successful, making millions a year and stuff like that. That's not brick and mortar. So clearly brick and mortar isn't the only means by which you can do business or have something to hand on for the children or whatever like that. It's not only building something. There's many ways out there, right, that we can have an impact. Right? There's many ways that we can have an impact, right? So when they talk about what has been built or what was built or anything like that, right? We have to look at things like, you know, Noble Drew Ali said the statement about changing the literature, right? All these people who are on this platform talking BS about RV Bay, Taj Street Bay, don't even have the literature to show, right? They don't even have the literature to show to put one-on-one with anything that Taj wrote. Bring your book and let's put that with Taj's book, and then let's battle the facts that are presented. They don't have anything. So what is there to debate? What is there to talk about? If the point of us doing this is to make sure that individuals have access to this information by any means necessary. Make sure that the people have access to this, because this is dealing with people's nationality, this is dealing with their birthrights. This is dealing with subject matter that might not necessarily be able to be told in words. And if it can't be told in words, then it has to be experienced in order for you to really grasp what's going on. And the more you start to experience, the more you realize that Noble Drew Ali didn't just come from Moorish Science Temple members. Noble Drew Ali didn't just come because, you know, some people were Negro black colored and others weren't, and he wanted to let them know, right? He came as a redeemer. He came to make sure that we get the lessons necessary so that our thinking could be in the right place, And once our thinking's in the right place, then automatically our actions are going to be in the right place. Right? Now, one of the tests that one of the Moors was doing, just to show the passivity of these people, right? Now they have their platform, and they had about 5 different individuals on the platform, speaking relative to different matters. One of the brothers, a brother by the name of Sabir Bey, he made a video addressing these people and their claims. And one of the questions that he put out there for everybody, and then we'll just pass this around the room just to get, a consensus. How is it that you found out about this thing called Moors? Like, what was it that made you realize that Moors is something for you to actually, consider? And then if you know the name of whoever led you to the info, or who first sparked your interest, just say that name and start up here.
For me, basically, I was online just searching for truth. That's how it began. Like, they probably started with conspiracy theories, and then, then it went into spirituality, and then I came upon the Moors, and then it was just like, after going through those process of thinking and knowledge, it more just made everything connect. It's like, okay, this was the missing part that I was looking for, that makes everything that I was already studying make sense and connect and make it be like there's a solution now. It's just not just a whole bunch of problems and don't know where to go. Now there's a solution to the problem. And
what was the source that led you to Moors?
The source? Well, actually, I worked with Amari. So Amari basically made me know about the classes.
Right.
So before the classes, basically, I was just looking on Taj and mainly Taj.
Oh,
even though
exactly.
I didn't. Huh?
Exactly. That's the
mainly,
point.
even though a lot of this stuff went over my head because I just didn't know, but there's a lot of stuff that made sense, right? And I listened to Akeem Bey. His stuff was kind of more straightforward, so I grasped his stuff more. You know what I mean? And then once I started coming to classes here, and I just started getting spoon-fed, then everything just connected the dot. It didn't happen all the time, all at once. It just kept on connecting the dots. Everything was like it's like a movie that you watch, and then you watch it again, and everything started to become clear. It was like, the more I came to classes, the more I listened to lectures and stuff, everything became clearer, and everybody asking their questions, the same question I probably had in my mind, and somebody else asked it, I got the answer there, and I started studying. Like, I wasn't one to read a lot, so the videos did a lot for me. Just listen to videos. Yeah. I'm at work, I'm listening to videos. I'm on the bus, listen to videos. I'm driving, I'm listening to videos. It would just consume me. And then I just ran with it and then when I started being active now, I started exercising my rights. First thing I did was Facebook. I changed my appellation, right? I adopted the name I was using, Osiris. I was using it before as an avatar. So I'm like, I'm already using this, I might as well just keep it because, even before, after Moors, I was just using it just because of the knowledge behind it. And then I added the LMB, and then from there, I kind of proclaimed that way. And then from there, I had to go to traffic court. I exercised there. My workplace, I told them I don't pay taxes. Here's my tax number, not tax number. I don't get income tax. So when those stuff just start falling into place, I'm like, wow, these things are just. It's not just. I'm not just hearing other people saying it now. I'm doing it now. I'm like, and then I can't turn back. It's just like a path.
That's what it is now.
This is what it is.
Love.
And the same concepts of just like searching out for truth starts off with the conspiracy theories and stuff. I came across, for me, it's about like a vibration that just resonated with me. This guy online, his name's the 13th Son, and he was talking about the Moors actually a few months before I went to the lecture in Hamilton, and it just popped up on my newsfeed, and it superseded all the other information that I was getting anyways.
Yeah.
So it's like, this just makes the most sense.
Right.
Logically thinking, even like on an intuition, it's like for some reason that video, I didn't seek it out, but it popped up on my suggested, and it was like, I recognized
something's up.
I recognized that person.
Right.
And then I guess like the synchronicities of things, just dots connecting outside of just the temple on random occasions.
Yeah.
And it's like affirmations continuously occurring.
All right.
Yeah, just like on the lines of the search for truth and self, and just being aware of the rights that actually aren't shown to us. There's definitely like a vibration that's reliable information, you know. Definitely just on the search, the path for truth. Yeah, and then I know my circle of people were kind of into this, like seeking of truth, and we just kind of came across it.
Right.
And then just kind of stuck with it.
Right.
I grew up on the Bible, and when I found out the 10 Commandments were inside the 42 Ma'atian laws, I was like, I'm just such a logical person, and I went, as soon as I found that out, I started with Egypt, and then I just followed, and then the priests basically seeded Islam, and then I found the Moors. Yeah, that just blew my mind, so it was pretty easy to follow the truth. It was really simple. I listened to Phil Valentine and Bobby Hammond a lot.
Right.
And it was really chaotic when I first got that information. Like, Jesus
Especially
Christ.
from them.
Oh my God. Yeah, Phil Valentine is just like bang, bang, like constantly. But yeah, it was really chaotic when I first found it out. And then when I actually found out, especially being a black woman, like there's something about just black, it's just so like, just menial. There's just no backing to, like even the definition of black, there's nothing backing there.
No substance.
At all.
Yeah.
So when I found out that we actually had a nationality, we actually had we're native, which makes we're absolutely seeded the earth. Of course we're native. What the fuck? So yeah, it was so simple to like follow the path.
Right.
And led here, yeah.
Brother Norman.
Yeah. For me.
Brother Norm.
For me, for me, in other words, I grew up in the church, Jehovah's Witness church with my mother. That's all I know. I go to church with her. I go to church with her and I see the blonde hair, blue eye, Jesus. That's the one they show us. They tell us that when I was going to school, we were from Africa and we come over here slave, so we are a slave from slave parents. And parents, whatever, slaves. And the slave master or the European, so-called white man. I grew up learning that. Then now, when I come to Canada, I said I'm from Africa. I make it this far back to Canada. Africa, they say, is over there. I meet African people, what's your name? I can't find one with my name, but I'm from Africa. Then I think back now, they say the slave master name you have. So you won't have the African name that you can meet African here in Canada that had. One day I'm at my shop. One guy come to me and tell me, say, meet this guy, Lord M. At his workplace, he went on a agency job. Because I'm always searching for myself. Because this guy is a Rasta man. And I'm listening to him, but I'm still searching for myself. And when he tell me that this guy has birthright, I said, damn, birthright. I read that in the Bible. I'm on Kush, they sell the land for birthright, didn't make sense to me. Because I work in the field with my father. I can't work in the field with my father and come home hungry. I can't. Mangoes, cane, fruits, I must come home hungry if I want to. Not to come give you my birthright for this bowl of food. Didn't make no sense to me. Okay, when the brother contact Lord him again and tell him, say, bring him over here, man, I want to see this guy. I want to meet this guy that telling you these things. He didn't tell him the address and the phone number or anything. And this guy only went as agency, so he didn't go back to that place. But the guy coming over there, looking and asking, can't find me, 'cause I don't know who he's looking for. And then finally, he went back there, so he got him, and he brought him over to me. And when he come over to me, it's like, where have been you so long? Because all that I hear so far, and I remember grow up in the church, all that they teach me, from school all the way up, I was thinking something else. And especially the name, that I'm an African. And I said, how come we come from Africa? And even when I come here too, how come we from Africa? And then now, I see my friend, Palestine, right in front of where I used to be working. I know him when he had no children. He went back home, bring a wife, make children, and those children speak Palestine and English. How come none of my people that they have the African language? Never teach it to one baby. So a baby could at least carry it to the next baby. And we knew a couple words out of the Africa. None. Didn't make sense to me. And for me find out about the Moors, I want somebody to bring something else to stop me. Stop me. Bring me something else that makes sense more than this.
Right.
And at my age, 50-something years, I just find out that. I just find out that. Islam more. Islam.
You have any input yet?
Yes.
Sure.
Before I come to the Moorish, I want to be recognized like First Nation. My grandfather is First Nation, but here they don't want to recognize to me. So I hear from my friend, they say, you can go to the Moorish town because we are treated there like brother and sister. We are one nation.
Right.
So for that I came here because I want to feel that inside to me we are brother and sister behind to God, to the God.
Right.
So when I come here the first time, I look everybody was nice to me.
Yeah.
I said, okay, I find the place.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Because supposed to in this land, in this earth, where we are created for to be brother and sister.
Right. Right.
So for that, when I came here, I feel comfortable.
Right.
So for that, sometimes I didn't come in the class, but because I work some
Right. Right.
Sundays.
Yeah. That's
But
okay.
I come back because
That's
I feel okay.
Right.
here.
Right. Good. Good.
So for that, I want to also to study more about my identity.
Mm-hmm.
Also, when I went to my brothers who live here. They say no all the time. They call me, oh, you're my little sister because you come from the South America. But I say no, we are sister. We are from one nation. We have to be all the time, to recognize our identity. Any place where you go,
Right.
you don't have to be blamed of shame.
Yeah.
Because I want to talk that my children also. Because in the generation, the future, my children, they're gonna know the roots
Right.
of the family.
Exactly.
So for that, I like to come to the Moorish town
Good.
because
Same story, or you?
Yes.
Want to say, all right.
I'm gonna keep mine short.
Yeah. 'Cause I know you got. you got story.
My life, I was gonna say that my spiritual journey started, but my whole life's been a spiritual journey. So
Yeah.
I'd say that I started recognizing my spiritual journey maybe about 5 years ago. So even though things were getting bad, say the Most High, he always pull me out in time or whatever, right? So in my county, I'm a victim by the police or whatever, right? They like to pick on me, especially because of my name, right? Distraught, right? So I find out they're really bad. So while I'm studying now, trying to find about law, then I started hearing some Hebrew Israelites, but I didn't know that they were Hebrew Israelites talking about birthright and black is not a nationality. And you need to have a nationality.
I think that was better news.
Right? And then how the Israelites lost their name and how they came over to the Americas and all these different stories. So I followed the Israelites up until I could. And I don't know, so one of them got me upset, but they couldn't really give me all the answers that I needed. I always knew that there was more to the story, but they could never give me the real answers that I needed. So when I was done with them, you know, my spirit led me to a brother named Cameron. Right? But the first time I ever heard about Moors was in my studies from Tosh to Bay, right? Because they were dealing with masonry and different things, like, oh no, I can't go there. You know? So
The spooky stuff.
yeah, but it wasn't my time yet, you know. So like, what I know when it comes to this knowledge, it's like a ladder, right? So it's all on your point of view. The thing that we're aiming for is way up here. So like, ego consciousness, that's like way up there, right? So you have to climb the ladder. Once you climb to a certain level, then you might be like an eye's view, but you can only like really like walk around it, but you're not gonna really know everything, right? Once you get on a higher level where your bird's eye view, see everything, then
Bird's eye view.
your understanding is greater. You understand? You can see everything. So that's what this movement did, you know, nationality and everything did. Once I understand the concept of nationality, right, then that gave me a bird's eye view on everything.
Right. And it was from, you know, again, as we go around, we realize that majority of people who came into this information, it's them being drawn to it. It's not somebody put them on like that. You know what I mean? It's the information is resonating on a frequency, and you picked up on the frequency, right? Good.
Even with that said, like me, I can say in the 2 years that I've declared my nationality, I've talked to at least 1,000 people. Again, just like you said, it's not something that you can force on somebody, even if you want to take them by the hand, and you're not going to come. You have to be drawn to it on a spiritual level.
To add to that, that's like the guy that I told you introduced Adam to me. He never come here one day yet, and he's a Rasta man, and he's into it, and he believes, and he thinks, and he whatever, but he never come here one day yet. Never come one day. And he's the one that bring it to me. So for me, you're the one the power is used to bring it to me. Maybe it wasn't about you, it was about you finding me. You know what I mean?
Right.
I agree. Just, I would say it's a divine thing, because your whole life you search for truth, and then somehow, some way you come to this information, and this information is what crystallizes, pulls everything together, makes everything make sense. If I was going to boil it down to names, I also heard the term Moor first from the 13th Son, this guy who speaks on YouTube. And the reason I listened to him is because he was just some crazy guy who was sitting in his bed, but he was saying things that, and I felt like he was talking to
It's always the crazy guy, I guess.
And the other thing was, this guy used to make 3-hour videos, his name was Kudra, and I used to keep watching. I didn't understand a word he was saying. I said, why do I keep watching this? So I kept watching, going back, and then
another crazy guy.
Another crazy guy. And I saw videos with Taj, and then that's it. But again, it's not something that wasn't searching for this, just searching for truth, and then we've gone to this.
Right, so the point that we want to emphasize is that the only way that you're gonna really find out what you're supposed to with regard to the Moorish movement is if your vibration's right. And you don't have to be quote unquote classified as conscious for your vibration to be right. You just have to be able to pick up on the signals that's being sent to you so that you can evolve based on what you're finding out. And people's position is to stop that evolution. People's position is to monitor and have a say in that evolution. When they start talking how we're gonna, play how these people talk, how these individuals talk. And again, we recognize that there has been for a number of years a campaign against civic-minded, constitutional enforcing Moorish Americans. There's a campaign attack by the so-called democracy, trying to make these particular Moors seem like anti-government and they want to overthrow the government and stuff like that. And then people on the Moorish side that talk the same way like how the democracy people talk. Like the language that they use, the language that these two sides use to describe us is the same, right? And there's repetitious keywords, you know what I mean? Moorish sovereign citizen, they use that term a lot. They'll use the corporate tag, the corporate national tag as the national tag. So they would say U.S. citizen opposed to American nationals, right? When you check Noble Drew Ali's literature, he never called anybody U.S. citizen. He always called them American nationals, right? They're going to make reference to us here being Canadian when we make the same claim that we're American citizens. Why? Because Canada's in North America. Which is common sense logic. There ain't nothing to really argue like that. But the fact that they're going over and beyond to argue these nonsensical, asinine perspectives is why we take those as piñata and beat it to death so everybody knows what is being presented for them. Because if it's just somebody coming in and they just go and that's the first thing that they see, they'll look at that thinking that it's cool to be Morisco. They'll look at that saying it's alright to be a Moor and to go with quote unquote the system. Because they don't have any knowledge of what that system is. They don't have any knowledge of the foundation of that system. But because that individual is wearing a fez and they're sitting in front of the Moroccan flag and they say Allah and Noble Drew Ali, then hey, run with them because they look like Moors. You know what I mean? They dress like Moors, but, right?
Yeah, so just to add what you're saying about, because sometimes I see them online, the Moors World TV, Wrong Way L, the Ali's Man, right? These guys are out there just spewing a whole bunch of things that contradict what the Noble Drew Ali teach, right? They're saying pay taxes. They're saying get driver's license, right? And they're not saying, okay, get driver's license and reserve your rights on it, so that way you protect yourself. They're just saying, get driver's license. They're saying, you know what I mean, obey the colonists, the slave masters, the same ones that are oppressing us. They're saying, obey them. I'm like, people are saying, just leave them alone, whatever. Their 50-minute fame will be done soon anyways. Like, we know that, but there's new Moors coming in, so I'm like, I have to put out there. I'm not even doing it for them. I'm just doing it for the Moors, other people that's gonna be reading the post.
And again, today was dealing with jealousy makes them enemies.
Yeah.
Right, and really, it's you know, and this is hip hop lessons. You know what I mean? The Shining, Smith and Wesson, and all that. This is hip hop lessons. Jealousy makes them enemies. Right? As soon as you realize that these individuals are exercising a position of well, somebody can't do that and why you do that and whatever like that, you already know that they're looking at what you do. We already know. If they're calling themselves Canaanland Moors, Kudro and all that stuff, we already know that they've been on the website. We already know that they watch all this stuff because they need to vampire in order to fill themselves up to be what it is that they do. under the guise of doing it for the Moors, doing it to help the nation, doing it for the temple, doing it to defend, whatever like that. When, you know, these people are directly opposed to what was originally set up. These people are directly against people having their nationality and birthrights, right? And again, why is it? Because they're jealous that they contracted with some people who they say are their Moorish leaders or whatever like that, who we know when we trace them back, those people are the sellouts that helped kill Noble Drew Ali. And instead of them coming out and saying, you know what, the guys that we've been following are a fraud or whatever like that, and we just want to put it on the record that we've been following these guys, that they're a fraud, and you know what I mean, we repent for our sins for following these people and get down with something good, they're going to stay and defend the fraud. They're going to stay and make it seem like, you know, oh, this is Moorish infighting between the Moors because some Moors don't want to do it and then other Moors want to. Well, it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with that this whole thing was infiltrated. Just like the whole UNI stuff was infiltrated. Just like Niagara movement got infiltrated. Just like all the 12 organizations that they list in King Alfred Plan. Black organizations, African whatever organizations, freedom organizations, whatever, all those things got infiltrated. Black Panthers, all these things got infiltrated. And then now, today, we're looking at the stagnancy of all these things and we're saying, oh, European. You know European? They're long gone from the scene. We need to look at these people who are in the seats right now. That's really what it's coming down to. And another thing to address, that when these individuals talk their thing about they want since I'm not qualified, they want me to take them to my master, right? My leader, the person who is, you know, over me or whatever like that, right? The individuals who gave us that charter right there, they gave us that charter on the strength of, you don't need to call us for anything. You're the Grand Governor for Canaanland. You're the Grand Chief for Canaanland. You're the Divine Minister for Canaanland. And when these individuals, again, go to contact these people who are considered my leader, they have no words for them. Because there's nothing to say to them, because they already know that these people's job is to make sure that this movement stays stagnant. This is their position is to make people keep asking the question, where's the Moorish hospital, instead of building it. Their question is to have people say, where's the Moorish school, instead of building it. And then keep looking and stuff like that. But then you talk with half these people in that say that they're Moors, whether they're in the temple, outside of the temple, or whatever like that. You talk to everybody, everybody has some type of skill or whatever that they can use, that we can put together to build something. So everybody could benefit, not just that individual who's building the stuff or who has the skill, right? But this is the thing that we have with this, that all these individuals would have skills are under the mentality that they have to get something for when they exercise their stuff. But other nations aren't looking at it like that. Other nations aren't looking like, well, I'm going to put down 5,000 and I want to get something on my investment. They put it on the strength that this is my nation I'm supporting. Right? So we want to review some of there's a couple timestamps that I want to go to with them addressing certain things, so we could one, show the contradiction and just address the fact that these individuals' time is over. They're just buying time right now because their time's done, right? Nobody's not going to their meetings or whatever like that. Only people who's going to their stuff are the people who's already brainwashed in there. There's no new people going to their stuff. Because just like the mother was saying, people are going to Moorish or whatever. As soon as they go in the door, they're feeling that this energy is messed up. people singing hymns and stuff like that and saying that that's what Noble Drew Ali brought. People going into a temple and getting, challenge, question, who are you, where are you from, who sent you, and all that type of stuff, when really somebody just sincere, they just want to learn. That one experience that they just had that's negative made them say forget Moorish movement forever, which is the plan of these people. Because remember, they're not looking at the inside people. They're not looking at people who are Moors. They're just using Cujo. They're using Cujo so that other people who have nothing to do with this, when they see this, first thing they're going to see is, oh, these Moors going back and forth with each other. I don't want nothing to do with that. When that's not what's going on here. You know what I mean? This is something that we've been dealing with for years, these Moors, that we would classify as temple Moors. Who tell people they can't be Moors unless they're in the temple?
The temple is the body.
Right? They're not even going there with people. They're not even breaking it down that temple's the body, but we have the building or whatever like that. They're not even going there. They're just making it like it's just about this building, this name called Moorish Science Temple, nothing else. Noble Drew Ali, everything came out of Moorish Science Temple. Well, if everything came out of Moorish Science Temple, then how come that's not from the beginning? If everything came out of Moorish Science Temple, then Old Canaanite Temple should be after Moorish Science Temple. Moorish Divine and National Movement should be after Moorish Science Temple. But again, they're playing on people's lack of knowledge. That's why they only do their little BS stuff on YouTube. You're not going to see them call a lecture and do this. If they call a lecture and do this, there's going to be Moors who back RVB, back Cujo, back Tal, back everybody who they're saying that is pseudo and they're anti-government. There's people who support those people who's going to be at those guys' lecture. And guaranteed they're not going to be talking all that BS with people in their face that are willing to defend the fact that, I've been studying RVB for the past 5 years. Me being on that website changed my life. How is somebody going to tell me that that's wrong? When I have physical experience in dealing with the information from these particular people and it having a positive effect on my life. You know what I mean? Like positive where, man got out of 16 years jail time because he was studying. Man got out of 47,000 student loans because they were studying. Right?
And the funny thing is, when you on their own YouTube channels, they have twice as much dislikes than they do likes.
Right.
So I'm like, you guys are time is done.
Obviously washed
if
up.
This is your own channel where most of your listeners
are supposed to be,
and consistently. It's not just like one video. Consistently.
Yeah.
It's either they're lopsided by 2-3 times dislike, or they're just even. They're not like they never have. So I'm like, and they're like, oh, the same silent or wannabe. He's like, I'd rather roll with the likes that I have than. I was like, this is your channel.
Yeah.
So this is your time's up, bro. So enjoy it while you can.
Right.
You're done.
And again, like I was talking with Brother Miz. It's not like we have to respond. These people aren't qualified with regard to these matters, but we know that, again, they can be a beating stick. Right?
Sure.
They can be somebody to use to make a point to people about the importance of understanding your nationality and birthrights and not being a shill. Not being an individual who has this information and then because the appearance out there is that, people have issues with quote unquote law enforcement because of this information, that you're not going to use that to turn people away from this info. You're going to show them examples of law enforcement backing the hell down. Because it's not only negative situations that people have with law enforcement. there's positive ones that are online as well, that they don't talk about ever. All they talk about is the negative stuff. And then the negative things that they talk to have no connection to us. Right? Case in point. It's,
the European, the colonialists, all of this stuff. Is that, oh, and I see you have up the Washington stuff too.
Yeah,
The bottom line, you know, more all of that stuff. I mean, I studied the Washington. I know Empress Vertice's son, Brother Joe Washington. I was affiliated with that stuff at one point in time. I never filed paperwork, but because I'm from Louisiana, I was fascinated with the indigenous history of the Moors here. But then, you know, I really realized what these people were and are into, you know. And Brother Joe, who's took over from the Empress because she passed on ago, he himself right now is trying to disavow and disassociate himself from some of this stuff that, you know, even his mother. So, you know, with that, more I'm gonna stand down.
Okay, Islam. I want to read this because I'm telling you, whether my brothers that subscribe to this believe it or not, I am trying to do the best I can to give them a fair and balanced idea of what they're up against. I invite anybody to come to the show and have a dialogue. As long as we don't get into the cussing as if we in high school and talking crazy, you know.
now again, they're making a little comment, right? Is because they made that request before. And I called into their show. And I told them to their self. Because they're trying to say that because somebody said something, said a term that we use, that we're responsible for that person's death because police killed them. Right? We're at fault because somebody said a word that's on the website that we got. And then somebody has a video saying the word or the phrase, and the person who got shot said that phrase, so oh, they must have been studying from us or whatever, right? Now, to implicate on that level things that's not true is malicious, right? And not only verbal, but it also shows the intent of these people is malicious. It's not just they're saying stuff out their mouth, right? We're talking about the inner workings of these individuals are to cause people's perceptions to be warped about what's going on out here, right?
These brothers have not presented any information. From the first time that Cujo called in, all I asked was, what has he done? He has yet to answer that question. We have a lot of name calling, we have a lot of agent throwing around and all that, but he has yet to answer that question. Now, with that being said, I want people to look at this and ask yourself, is this worth it? Let's read about Gavin Long. It says, this is July 20, 2016. Gavin Long, who killed 3 police officers and wounded 3 others in Baton Rouge, Louisiana on Sunday, had alleged ties to the Washington Nation, a sovereign citizen group with members in New Jersey who have engaged in nonviolent activities. Members of the Washington Nation claim indigenous heritage predating founding of the United States, and they assert that their status as non-citizen residents immune from U.S. law.
Now, what we want to do is we want to put this in perspective of what he was saying, you know, all this agent stuff thrown around and all that stuff, whatever, right? Now, again, whether it's direct or indirect agent activity, we don't know. But by the way these individuals talk, they are highly suspect. especially when you have evidence like this with regard to the so-called sovereign citizen that killed 3 police officers, right? Now remember, they're trying to say that this article that they're reading from State of New Jersey, Office of Homeland Security and Preparedness, right? So remember, they're using U.S. Democracy website as a reference point to say that Moors are following some type of sovereign citizen, whatever, that gets people killed, and why would anybody want to be part of that? Look what the news says, that this guy shot police and all that. He says that he claims to be Washita. Okay, well let's hear what Gavin Long had to say about people trying to use his actions to make other people look messed up, right? This is the actual shooter guy, keep in mind, right?
Oh, and this is very important. I wanted to let y'all know, because if anything happened with me, because I'm an alpha male, I stand up, I stand firm, and I stand for mine till the end, to the last day on this, in this flesh. But I'm not the flesh, I'm not the body. I have a body. But I just want to let y'all know, don't affiliate me with nothing. I'm not affiliated with the Black Business School, even though I might promote their business or something like that, or any of my friends, any of my associations. Those are just associations. I'm not affiliated with it. Yeah, I was also a Nation of Islam member. I'm not affiliated with it. Don't affiliate me with the money team. Some have it, they be like, well, yeah, we was with Floyd Mayweather. No, don't affiliate me with nothing. Black Business School, I was a Christian. I was in Africa. Don't try to say, oh, he was Africa, he was this and that. No. They try to put you with ISIS or some other terrorist group or anything. No. I'm affiliated with the spirit of justice. Nothing else. Nothing more, nothing less. All right?
So if that's the killer guy, his own words. Don't affiliate with me, nothing. I don't want to be tied to anything whatsoever. He gets killed, right? Now he can't talk for himself. And then some other individuals now are coming up and affiliating him to things. What's that tell you about those people affiliating him? Dirty. Especially with regard to what it's involving. Right? This is the level of people that we're dealing with in the Moorish movement. That their intent is malicious. Forget the stuff that they say to you. Forget the things that they say that make you say, why would he say that? He's a Moor or whatever. Forget those stuff. The intent of these individuals is where we're looking at now. Because again, the brother himself said, don't affiliate me with nothing. I was Christian, I was there, and he went down the list of all the stuff that he was part of and said, don't affiliate him. But they're not going to take his words. They're going to go to the Department of Homeland Security, who's saying that he's Washita. And then they're going to put it out there on their channel to the world who watches YouTube that, you know, this individual is tied to Moors. Right? This is what they do. And again, when we look at the activity of these people, this isn't stuff that they were doing 5-6 years ago, making these connections. This is something that they're doing now. This is recent, that they're starting to tie Moors to killings and stuff like that. Moors doing that, not European. People with turbans and fezzes on, tying other Moors to police killings and stuff like that. That lets you know that these individuals are either getting yelled at by their handlers or whatever like that. You guys need to speed this up. You guys are slowing this. You guys are whatever they're telling them to make them go to these drastic measures. And again, we're taking the position of, you know, we are defending the cause. Right? We are speaking for the people who don't want to speak. That's why Brother Sabir in his video told Cujo, get him. Don't even not get him. Get him. Because you already know that Cujo's gonna go get him. Just because. It's not something that it's like, this is the first representation of noble duality in this jurisdiction in 80 years. Like, nobody's talked about this here. Nobody. Now that we're talking about it, now that it's becoming, something that is tying people back to where they're supposed to be in their frame of mind, people have issues. They didn't have issues when we first started. They didn't have issues when we didn't have YouTube and stuff like that. When we weren't, going at these people. Right? They have, and again, they're using things that we've already addressed. They bring up a brother that, again, tying this individual to Washita, right? When we've done classes talking about the individuals who they're talking about. Because we have direct connections to these people because they're trying to sell us stuff. The same people that they're using as homeland security, whatever, and saying that, oh, look, see, these are the type of Moors, and then they put Cujo's name and Taj's name and RBB's name connected with these Moors that they're showing that are, not doing stuff how they're supposed to be done, and they got arrested for doing some sovereign citizen, whatever like that. We've addressed that we have no connection to those type of Moors. Because of personal experiences of individuals trying to put stuff on us, trying to sell things to us, trying to tell us, come to them so we can get some plates or whatever stuff from them, pay them $1,500 for one plate. One plate that we know costs 15 notes to make. Metal, whatever like that, we know it's 15 notes to make it, right? Metal. But some people are going to say 1,500, right? And again, trying to make this tie to the Moors who are active and civic minded, as if this is where our frame of mind is. This is not something opportunistic. This is not something we're saying right to travel. Anybody got the law dictionary right there? If you pull that law dictionary up, if you could look up, if somebody could look up driver and traveler. Right? We're not.
Which one you looking up?
Driver and traveler?
Yeah. You can pick one because he has one too, so you can just pick one.
Can you driver after travel?
So as we put this information out, we're putting this information out so that people can have a better frame of mind as to what's going on. Because people's frame of mind is not clear, right? We tell people, use Black's Law Dictionary, use Ballantyne's dictionary, use Bouvier's dictionary. Because if you're claiming that you're studying law, you should have a dictionary for law to look up law stuff. Like, you know what I mean? But no, they're gonna talk about, no, you can't do that because, Henry Campbell Black is a colonist, and these people are a descendant of a colonist, and then they're talking against the colonists. So why are they using the colonist book if there's not no colonist book? The only way colonists know anything is because Moors taught them. Right? But again, having this warped perspective is going to have individuals be in the dark when everything is real simple, sitting right there in your face. But if you don't go check for yourself and you listen to these guys, so everybody who listened to these guys and went with the fact that, hey, yeah, why would I give my, why would I go to RV Bay Publications, get a right to travel card and give it to my 14-year-old to go out in the road and go drive and crash the car? Right? But it has nothing to do with that. Because only a jackass is going to go get a right to travel card, give it to a 14-year-old, or a 12-year-old, or 11-year-old, or whatever. If we're saying right to travel, more than likely that individual has already took the test or whatever like that. They have a license and all that stuff, so they're qualified to be on the road. It's not crazy people that we're saying go get nationality card and then people are going out there and doing madness. That's not what it's about. That's the perception they're trying to give. But again, if you use the basics, like we tell people, you know, the reason why we say go get dictionaries, because the world that we're living in has become connotative. The world that we're living in has become a world of things that are said that don't mean what they mean. And you start playing the game of what they're talking about, you're going to start find yourself trapped up in something that you didn't even know how you got into it. But if you're clear as to what it is, at least you can make a decision on to, well, maybe I shouldn't do it or maybe I should do it, opposed to going in it and then realizing that, oh, I shouldn't have did this. Right? Sis, which one do you have there?
Driver.
Driver.
Driver, one employed in conducting and operating a coach, carriage, wagon, or other vehicle with horses, mules, or other animals, or bicycle, tricycle, or a motor car, though not a street railroad car. A person actually doing driving, whether employed by owner to drive or driving own vehicle. Wallace V. Woods.
Right. So a driver. What's the first line?
A driver, one employed in conducting and operating a vehicle.
One employed. One employed. If you go in your car, motor vehicle, whatever, to go to the store, you're not employed. So you're not a driver. If you're going to your mom's house, pick up food or whatever, you're not employed. You're not a driver. If you're behind the wheel of something and somebody's coming and they're putting something in the box, you're employed. If you have a meter thing and you push and then it says $4.25 before people get, and when they get out it says $20, you're a driver because you're employed, right? You have traveler?
Traveler. One who passes from place to place, whether for pleasure, instructions, business, or health. The term is used to designate those who patronize inns. The distance which they travel is not material, and it has cases.
Right. So first couple lines.
Okay. So it says here, the first couple lines was one who passes from place to place, whether for pleasure, instructions, business, or health.
Right now, Corinne Gaines, the sister who got murdered in Baltimore, she said she's a traveler and she got murdered. Right? Henry Campbell Black, he just said traveler. Is he sovereign citizen? Because he said traveler? How come they're not calling Henry Campbell Black sovereign citizen? How come they're not calling him out? His stuff is in black and white that he said traveler. And he also made a distinction between a driver and a traveler. And speaking from the perspective of what one is and what another one is. And then based on those two things now, you can make you can come to your own perspective now as to which one are you? Are you out there employed behind the wheel of your own whatever, or are you just traveling? Right? If you're saying that you're traveling, that has nothing to do with sovereign citizen or whatever like that. It has to do with you going from place to place or whatever it has to do with business, Once you're not employed, you can't say that you're a driver. And it's really just that simple. But you know, again, the people who don't want it to be simple are the ones talking against it. Because it's that simple. Either you're a traveler or you're a driver. Drivers are employed, travelers are not. Has nothing to do with sovereign citizen movement, has nothing to do with terrorists, has nothing to do with Europeans and their own plates and, you know what I mean, pulling a right to travel cards and all that stuff. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with knowing what the law is. The law says that there's a distinction between a natural person and a person. If you say person without natural on it, then they're going to assume you're a corporation. That's just what it is. Nothing personal. That's just what it is. Right? But they're making it personal. They're making it as if we're attacking somebody or something. All we're doing is gaining clarity. We just want to be clear. You know what I mean? Like, you know, we just want to be clear why we say, police, show me something. Give me a card, give me your name, first name, last name, give me bond number. So just give me something so I can verify that you are who you say you are. The same way you want me to show a license to verify who I am. Okay, where's your license? I have a right to see yours like you claim that you have a right to see mine. Nothing's wrong with that. You're allowed to ask. But only when you get into government, that's not really government, it's corporation pretending to be government, do you have these issues of people violating their quote-unquote oaths of office. People claiming that they have certain authority when they really don't have it. And when you give them the authority, they abuse it. Which has been the pattern. Right? This is why the whole country shut down for 9 days when Hugo Chavez died. How the place shut down for 9 days because a guy died? How are they looking at him? That they shut down, the whole country shut down. Government offices, everything shut down. Because this one guy? What was he doing that was so, that made him do that? Nationalize the whole country.
Why 9 days?
Huh?
9 days.
9 days.
Very crucial.
Right? What kind of sciences are they dealing with that they do 9 days?
9 days.
You know what I mean? Oh, well, you know, when you die, you're going back to the womb, so it's really being born again. So it's really from the date that he left the earth plane, from the date that he did the last, 9 days after that is when they're going to do their ritual as far as the burial or whatever like that. In between that time, he's going through his little, you know, time in the womb again to get back to the other side. This is how serious they look at their stuff, because, you know, over there they got Santeria and all that stuff. They're not playing around with, you know what I mean, put him in the coffin and all that stuff and then that's it. As great as he was, know that they're doing some ritual or whatever like that. Invoke him in the next guy who's coming. Right? And if the individuals took the position of wanting to liberate the people's minds, they wouldn't be playing this thing about attack people who are obviously changing people's minds. The individuals who are actually causing change to happen. You know what I mean? Like, again, there's ample amounts of Moors right now who are studying discharging of debts. They're studying this. They're taking the information that they studied, they're putting it in paper form, sending it to whoever they send it to, and then they're checking their credit bureau, and the stuff that they say they had on there is not on there no more. So what these individuals do is changing people's lives. And for somebody to want to stop that shows that these people are jealous of these individuals. They're jealous that it's not them. Right? They're jealous that nobody's calling them to come do a lecture. Right? Because remember, these are some of the same people who we know wanted to be popular back in the day, whatever like that, didn't get to be popular. You know what I mean? The same on the European side, the guy who got punked off by all the black guys or whatever like that, became popo, now he's arresting all the guys who bothered him in high school. Okay, these are the same guys that didn't have the prettiest girlfriend and stuff like that. These are the guys who had, the shoes with the Velcro, no laces and stuff like that, right? These are the guys who used to go to Byway to go shop and stuff, right? So their popularity didn't make it to where it is, but now because of YouTube or whatever like that, these people could be stars now. They can have 50,000 views on a video and feel important while they didn't do anything for anybody. There's people who I know that had direct interaction with the RV Bay website, that their life changed for the better, and that you're not going to convince these people that they did the wrong thing, right? And again, these individuals are being used as a beating stick to prove the point of how fraudulent that they are, right? Going with this thing of playing victim, right? Like we're coming at them, so they're doing whatever it is. When we were mute 4 years ago, when you guys were coming at us, it wasn't no big deal. Everything was cool back then. Now that we're saying something now because you guys are talking BS, now we're threatening them. We want to punch people in their face. We're going to rush people. And why are they talking like that on their platform? They're supposed to be Moors and they want to do harm to people. Ain't nobody threatening nobody. Who threatens somebody? They just don't like the fact that we're standing up to them. Right? They don't like the fact that somebody has a rebuttal for every single thing that they put out. You're not putting out something without a rebuttal. Every single thing that they put out is going to be rebutted by somebody. Why? Because the circle dealing with the information through RV Bay publications, Taj Street Bay, etc., we're united. We're unified. We have all the same nationality cards for a reason. We have the same people that we say master teacher for a reason, right? These people only consider whoever master teacher when they're on their show. After that, they don't care about them, they don't talk about them, they don't bring them up, whatever. When they're on their show, all praise is due to them and bow to them and thanks for coming on the show and all that stuff. How come they were talking about them prior to them coming on the show? How come after the show they're not talking about them? One day of master teacher worship, and then after that, who cares? It doesn't matter or whatever like that. But again, these individuals who they had on their show, namely Brother Asir, the Duke of Tears, and Sabir Bey, are people who are down with Canaanland. They're not against Canaanland. They're not against Cujo. Right? We did Skypes with Asir. There's Moors in Canaanland that go to Asir's class weekly, religiously. But they're not going at them like how they're going at us. Right? With Brother Sabir, even, called them out. I'm waiting for you guys to say something so I can address everything that you guys say. And you're not hearing a peep. They say that stuff is done and it's over. This is the grand finale. No more videos and stuff like that. We'll see. Because we know for a fact that people are leaving those so-called bodies of Moors that are praying and singing hymns and all that stuff like that. People are fed up with that stuff. Because that's not doing anything for them. That's not helping them in any way. That's not helping them out here dealing with highwaymen. That's not helping them losing their property out here to foreclosures and all that type of stuff. It's doing nothing for them, right? And when somebody's talking about, they just broke their leg and don't worry, Allah's gonna take care of this. Get away from them people. You people talking about, they need something, but don't worry, Allah is coming and all that stuff, or the prophet's gonna take care of whatever. Don't even. Just make sure you get away from around them people.
And another thing is that I think why they're hating so hard is just by hearing other Moors, especially in America, a lot of their temples are infiltrating. A lot of their temples, like I would say 90% of their temples are dirty Moors that, like you said, they want to play church. Right? And with Canaanland now in Cujo, we give honorary membership. You could be anywhere. You could be Africa, you could be Australia, you could be anywhere. Right? As long as, I mean, you know, send your registration in and you know what I mean? Whatever is required, you could become an honorary member. Right? In most of the temples, they want you to be in their area and they want you to conform to the way they do stuff. Right? People now that wants to exercise their right, and they're far away and they have no temples in their area that they're in. I mean, whether it's a different territory or a different country or even a different continent, they know that they could send their paperwork here and get it documented and the seal and whatever. Because
which also means that the temple hasn't done their job. Right? If we're saying this has been around for 100 years, and then somebody's in Tennessee calling this phone right here to find out about Moorish Science Temple, why are you calling here? You're in Tennessee. Well, you know, I checked online. You guys are the only guys that have a number. Or I emailed, 50 people, and ain't nobody got back to me. This is all part of the Shills program of getting the people to say, man, this Moorish thing is, and then not even want to deal with it. Not even want to deal with it. Not that they're going to give it a second try or whatever. On their first interaction with the Moorish movement, if it goes south, they're not even paying it any attention anymore. Until 4 years later, 5 years later, when, they get kicked in the ass again, and now they have to go back now to find out about this information again, right? As when we check the record of the history of the Moorish movement, we find out that the activity stopped after Noble Drew Ali for some reason. Some weird reason, after Noble Drew Ali, there was no more manufacturing companies. There was no more fisheries. They had cookie factory. Noble Drew Ali had his own herbs and stuff like that, getting bottled and boxed up and all that stuff by his own manufacturing company, right? Community center, they got pictures of Moors with schools, all types of stuff relative. And then we look at it today and there's nothing. And then when we question these people, well, why are you telling me build something when Noble Drew Ali built stuff in the 1920s? And when we check everybody else who had something from the 1920s, their stuff's still around today. 100 years later, they're gonna have their 100-year anniversary for whatever it is that they did 100 years ago. And then when you look at the Moors, there's nothing. These are his temples and that's it. And you're not even seeing temples like you saw back in the day when Noble Drew Ali was around. There's less now. That's an issue. Right? That the people who say that they're Moors need to be questioning these people who say that they're leaders of the Moorish movement about where's the stuff. Because if Vatican came about 1913 and look what they got right now, right? And then whatever other corporation out there that's been around 1900s or before, and they're still around today, there's no reason that Noble Drew Ali stuff shouldn't be around. And if it's not around, you need to start getting some answers. Forget asking questions. We need answers as to what happened to the stuff. All these Moors paying dues and all that type of stuff to one temple at that time, not scattered like how it is now. Everybody's dues were going to one place. And you're talking about dues that was in gold and silver back then. It wasn't no fiat that they were giving to the temple. They were given gold and they were given silver coins for dues. So if we take those silver coins, transfer that to fiat, there should be no issues for any Moors right now that say that they're Moors. There should be a pot of whatever sitting there Proclaim your nationality, bam, check. Proclaim your nationality, bam, check. Proclaim your nationality, check. And now you can go live as a Moor. And there's your reparations that you've been owed compounded interest, because there's going to be interest on the dues. Because we will convert it all to fiat now. We wouldn't have gold still or silver or whatever. We keep that to do what? All we need is one of those for collateral. Everything else we can change to whatever denomination and give it to the Moors. Because everything's supposed to be owned allodially anyway, so all those manufacturing companies would have been ours. All the schools and the community centers and all that stuff would have been ours. If anything, we're paying for heat, electricity, that's it. There ain't no rent or nothing like that. Right? But they're going to say, forget about those things that we didn't get. Forget about that. Let's build some new stuff. How we build some new stuff when you don't even know what happened to the old stuff that you built? And you want to build more stuff again? To lose that? To get Dr. York? Have them bulldoze your stuff opposed to sell it to somebody else? Right? You had something, Brother Kenta?
Just a few things. In regards to what you said about the Vatican, you have to keep in mind also that after the prophet set us up as religious and he did the whole ecclesiastic stuff, I think a year after the Vatican followed suit, they did the exact same thing that the prophet did. So going back to how these dudes are talking about statutes and codes and all that stuff, they have to realize, and what I've noticed from watching and studying the sound bites is that these guys are children. And you have to understand that they're not scientists. They're not more scientists. They are in the belief stage of things. They have forgotten that Joshua went through the same thing, and he encouraged people to stand up, and give to Rome, give to Caesar what is Caesar's. I don't know if they've forgotten it willingly, but they've made the choice to omit all that information. So there's belief, faith, and fruition. They're stuck in kindergarten, and they want to keep you trapped in kindergarten. So they're not really going and following the prophet. They're trapped in the material world. They're trapped in the building. I need to see it. If I don't see it, it's not real. And they keep on forgetting that Allah is invisible. And if you want to look for the proof of Allah, look at everything that's been done, and it's all been done from the invisible hand. So these guys, they're trapped in the world that was created by Allah.
And look at that analogy, right? So you're the lunchroom supervisor or whatever, the playground supervisor. And you're out there and all the children are out there, you know what I mean? They're having fun and doing their stuff like that. And, 6'6" guy comes on there talking about, you know what I mean? Trying to go on the baby swing. Because it's there. He wants to swing. You can't say you can't swing. Why can't I swing here? Because it's a swing, anybody can use this. Or, going on the riding thing and, you know what I mean? And knees are up here, he's on the thing like this. Talking about why can't I have fun and why can't I whatever. Stuck in kindergarten. Right? Baby boy movie. Stuck in kindergarten. Right? Don't want to take responsibility. Telling us that we're not taking responsibility. But, using the example of, sister gets murdered. Oh, well, how come you guys not taking responsibility because she was practicing what you guys teach and she got murdered?
To add on to what you just said too, also they have to they're not keeping in mind that Martin Luther King, Malcolm X encouraged us, encourage people to stand up. So if they're saying that we're guilty for Korean gains, then Martin, Malcolm, Gandhi, everyone who came before, Marcus, they're all guilty of all our brothers and sisters dying for their rights and their beliefs and their, so they're forgetting all those things. or they're choosing to forget it. It's convenient for them to point out stuff that, you know, it's like reading an essay, and you're reading and you're like, doesn't make sense. The points are there, but it doesn't make sense, because one of the things that struck out for me, you know, from watching it and again coming to class and studying and just following the path, you know, they forget that, you know, because after watching this stuff, I went back and I read it myself, because I've heard it being read, the divine warning to the nations. And there's a theme in there, you know, the prophet said to enforce the Constitution.
Yeah.
The Constitution. The Constitution. So by enforcing the Constitution, we cannot dumb ourselves down to statutes, codes, and all that, you know, commercial stuff. You know, enforcing the Constitution is the law of the land. You know, so it's like saying, now that we've woken up, you know, we know that the house is ours, and we know that the person who was running the house, the custodian, you know, they put some rules in there and regulations and so on and so forth. But it's your house. You know, our ancestors put it there, my mom, dad, everyone set it up for us. You know, but we're still operating under, you know, we gotta come in at this time, we gotta turn off the lights at this time, but it's our house. So how are you trying to encourage people, not even trying, but making the attempt to encourage people to still follow laws that are de facto, when the prophet said we can make our own laws? This is our land. This is, you know, so if they're pushing that, then, you know, they're not really for us. You know, they're not really for upliftment of fallen humanity, because after, like I said, after reading the divine Constitution and reading the Constitution and then the divine warning to the nations, bottom line is these guys are in error. They're flawed.
Right.
You know, they're really, really flawed. So it just said one thing to me, a couple of things really, that, you know what, by all of them coming into our sphere, our, you know, by them becoming visual for us, it's, in a sense, if you look at it from the perspective that we've created something that we ourselves as individuals have to make a choice, as natural persons have to make a choice as far as, you know what, do I go left or do I go right?
Where's your allegiance?
Right. So the fact that, you know, we're acknowledging those sound bites from those guys and they're coming at us, it's like you're challenging yourself. So now you have to make the choice. The line has been drawn.
Right.
You have to make the choice. Either you're with the prophet, and the prophet said, you got to put him first. You got to put him first. If you do not put the prophet first, it's like going outside and it's raining, you're getting wet, you're getting drenched, you're feeling all the elements. So for them to go against the prophet, you know, they're in error. They've dishonored their ancestors, they've dishonored their children, everything. They're in error, you know, so, and the funny thing is, they forget that, and what I realize, you know, a lot of those, you know, for lack of a better phrase, whack MCs, a lot of them, you know, they forget that the prophet laid something down for us, you know. They forget that the prophet put it down for us. Everything that he said is divine and spiritual, and it's a divine national movement, you know, and divinity comes from within, so you don't need to build a building. You build yourself, because again, you're the temple. So for those guys to want to say, okay, well, we need to see a building, what have you done, what have you done? You know what? Class is full today. Class has always been full, whether or not there are bodies here, because the prophet's always around.
Right.
You know, the prophet is here. These guys act as if the prophet has left. You know, as Moors and Moors scientists, we have to behave according to the prophet being here right now. You know, we can't act like, well, he's gone and we're doing our own thing, and the prophet's here right now. You know, and that's why Brother Cujo, Taj, and all those guys are there for us, to teach us, to, you know, make sure that we stay on the path, because the prophet is here right now. You know, and I guarantee you, hail, fire, and brimstone, these naysayers, they're getting it. Really getting it, like hardcore. You know, not even on the physical realm, but, you know, these guys are having nightmares.
Yeah.
Real nightmares, man, because they can't go into the astral world. Cannot do that.
You know, so we just have to stay on point. You know, Brother Cujo, Sabir, Asir, all those guys. You know, and just the fact that everyone's in here right now. You know, and we have a young son here. You know, just the fact that we're here, we're on the right path. You know, so just focus, go in the Quran, you know, the Circle 7, and just keep the Prophet in front, man. And you can't fail, because at the end of the day, just like you switch the channel when there are commercials on, you switch the channel on those cats. Because they're selling something you don't need. You don't need Tide. You don't need this. You have it all in your house. You have it all in your home. So, you know, don't tell me what I need when I know what's real, you know. Right. So just keep in mind that, you know, the Prophet's not gone. You know, he's here, you know. You know, the Prophet came, you know, with the strength and the power of all the other prophets before him. You know, and that's divinity. So tap into the divine national movement, tap into the divine, you know. Go back and, you know, tap into, you know, your ancestral stuff from back home. When I say back home, it's still the Americas, but growing up, you know, wherever you came from, you know, put your pictures up of people who've been gone, names of people who've been gone, you know, because they're working with the Prophet. And we can only grow and shine if we acknowledge them, you know, and that's why the Prophet said, go back. We have an illustrious history, you know. Think about what we left and what we're being told, well, we don't need it, you know, we don't need it. But, you know, we gotta honor the Prophet, always, 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 and keep him in front. Islam.
Islam.
I just want to add to the Prophet that, and what you said about the whack MC. I mean, this guy's really whack. I'm not even playing. And like Kojo said in one of his comments, that even his own affiliates are not even feeling him. You can tell by their body language that they're just like, you know.
That's our boy, so we're just gonna listen.
Yeah, exactly. And the only thing that he's doing is bringing up the Prophet's name. That's his game right there, because he knows that a lot of people love and respect the Prophet for bringing us our birthrights, to let us know that we're not a corporation. We're a natural flesh and blood spirit man, and we're here to bring everything back to the way it was. You know what I mean?
And that's the thing too, we're in such an age of nostalgia, but we don't know how to, like, we don't know how to pay homage. Like, all our shows, all of our music, all of our habits are all infrastructures that have been placed for us, but we don't know how to look back. And even you were saying, they're talking about, let's build new buildings. But like you said, let's go back to the buildings we had. Let's talk about what we had and make it better, as opposed to trying to do something new. Let's do what they did, but better.
Right. 47 or 46 minute mark.
Ain't that my argument? That has never been my argument.
No. Hey, look, I'm not one of the more, you know, it's something, you know, coming on that I'm just saying, say for the record, you know, that's the position that we should take.
My argument is this, brother. For 20 years, we've been selling these, or I'm not going to say we, but these pamphlets has been sold. For 20 years, we've been going on a world tour. For over 20 years, nobody lifted a brick. Nobody lifted a piece of mortar. Nobody did nothing. So I come on the scene and I'm saying, I'm the third, fourth generation of prophets talking about. What the heck is going on? If something puts somebody in danger, we should not do it. It's my point.
Okay, and I understand it because what I did was she didn't deal with that the right way. The proper way was deal with it in the private, not in the public.
Brother, you can't deal with a private. When somebody comes at you in public and you ignore it for 4 or 5 times, then at some point you're going to have to address it in public, because now your name is being thrown through the bus.
No, I'm not.
Right.
The information that he gives, he's not going through the right steps to give out the best.
Oh, okay, I follow you, family. I follow you, yeah.
So yeah, it's not the steps that you should be going through. So people actually should be going through steps. I understand y'all have to, you know.
Now, with regard to proper steps that people should be going to, right? With regard to the claims of people are getting too high information and they don't get it and they go out there and get injured, all right, whatever, all right. So we got a project coming out with Moorish Directory and the Great Seal West, all right. Moorish Directory and the Great Seal West have teamed up in order to bring to the Moorish community a true academic opportunity. We will be starting several learning curriculums beginning the first week of January 2017. We are currently signing up applicants who wish to follow along with the curriculum so that they may gain a clear and complete understanding of religion and civics. The first curriculum, starting in January and ending in June of 2017, will be the Circle 7 Holy Quran. Attendance will be taken into account and there will be homework quizzes assigned that must be completed before class begins. Friday 3rd, 2017 will be the last day to sign up for this particular curriculum. Testing on the testing on the Circle 7 Holy Quran will be made available at a small expense. Once the test is completed with a passing score, the applicants will receive certified degree from Great Seal stating that one has studied and is versed regarding the said subject matter. There has been many false prophets and ministers who preach about our ways and lifestyle, but hasn't even studied our religious code of conduct called the Circle 7 Holy Quran. And so the intended purpose of these academic classes is to develop a clear vision of discernment for Moors to utilize as they further advance within their studies. If you are an active Moors who is ready to take part in this venture with your Moorish peers, please email moorebook@activemoors.com. moorebook@activemoors.com. An invitation will be sent to join Moorebook Learning Forum. Will be sent out promptly. So again, moorebook@activemoors.com, and that is going to be for the Great Seal Moorish Directory Clear and Complete Understanding of Religion and Civics classes. That's going to be starting in January.
What's the deadline for the registration?
Registration deadline is February 3rd. Right? So that's an example of Moors out there who are studious and that they're taking the position of using their time to assist Moors in even being more clear, right, with regard to particular subject matters that they're going to be dispensing, that they're going to be teaching about, discussing about, you know what I mean, whatever it is. And you know, there's always going to be the individuals who say that shouldn't be done and Noah Juali didn't bring that and stuff like that. The point of the matter is, are you getting the lesson? You know what I mean? Read the Quran. You get the lesson? All right. If you got a lesson, then there's nothing else to, you know what I mean? You went on a YouTube video or whatever. Okay, you took your notes. You did your research after and you got the message from why you had to watch that? All right, cool. Then you got the message then because this is birthrights. It's not some club about, you know what I mean? Well, you know, you have to come and see what they're saying. Well, should we go on this site because it says, you know what I mean, whatever on it? That's not what this is about. You know what I mean? This is about individuals taking the responsibility on themselves to know thyself for real. If you're making the claim of know thyself, yeah, I know thyself because I'm, all right, well, let's see all the stuff you know. For real, for real. There's nothing to demonstrate. You know what I mean? Like for example, like with myself, books, music, whatever like that, to show that I know something, right? You know, you have Taj going across the country, right? Sabir put out the Noble Drew Ali documentary. You know what I mean? Out of Darkness documentary. Moors say we're gonna start a study group wherever they live at, because you know they went to the temple church going on there, and we can't go there, so we're gonna have to do something. What they say? Okay, we're gonna amongst ourselves, let's start something so we can get some stuff done, right? And people are doing these things based on them getting information, being with other Moors who've gotten information, and then everybody putting their head together and then manifested something, right? And it's not something that's far-fetched. The problem is that it hasn't been exercised in so long, right? Us doing for ourselves, us being self-sufficient, us being self-autonomous, us having self-realization of the fact that, like brother said, we're spirit man. You know what I mean? What does it take for us to see something that we can be inspired by? All of us putting our energy in the right place. All of us putting our focus in what our focus is supposed to be on. As soon as our focus is on something else as a unit, then that's why it's so easy to spot out when there's issues, right? It's so easy to spot out when there's individuals who are trying to get you off of where you're supposed to be. Because you're going to be vibrating on a certain frequency for yourself with regard to this information. That has nothing to do with anybody else. It's like I was talking with a sister last night about you know, tapping into DMT and then experiences that you have after you tap in and then when you come back, right? And then what do you do that you found out all this stuff? Like what? It's not nothing. It's what do you do? Because you were the one that went. You were the one that saw whatever that is that you saw over there. And then they told you whatever, and then you came back here, and then you're like, well, what does that mean and all that stuff? Well, I'm going to go talk to this guy, he say interpret dreams, and then this guy say interpret this and that or whatever like that. You don't need them people. They never went anywhere. What are they going to tell you about what's in your own stuff? How are they going to tell you, oh yeah, your dream means whatever. Your vision means whatever. Right? When you were the one that actually went. And then that's a sign that if you go and then you can't even comprehend what it is, where you went and all that stuff, then maybe you shouldn't be going where you're going. Because when you go over on that side, they're not playing around with, you know what I mean, vagaries. That you're getting the real on the other side. There's no, you know, pussyfooting with the truth on the other side. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's going to be a man of light that walks up to you and tells you something or whatever. It's going to be something that the five senses aren't even able to comprehend on that side. But something higher in yourself is going to make you realize that something's definitely going on that I need to pay attention to. Especially when you start seeing people from, you know, here, there. Or hearing stuff from here over there on the other side. Then you know that there's a connection, that there's a bridge, right? But, you know, with looking at everything from this dumbed down perspective, you know what I mean? Hear Noble Drew Ali and then people start getting, well, you know, and try to do him like Muhammad and Jesus and all that stuff. Yeah, that is not what he came, he's not to be used for that. You know what I mean? You know, that was our brother man. Peace. That was our brother man. Right? No problem. Take care. Right? And yeah, the brother man was a prophet. You know what I mean? Even when they're talking about, you know, well, you can't take risks or whatever, because if something could be dangerous, then I'm going to tell you not to do it. Well, they told Noble Drew Ali, go into pyramid or whatever and come out on the other end. Clearly that was dangerous. That was worse than some right to travel or whatever. That was worse than standing up to some highwayman out here. Go in the pyramid and then come out in darkness. And he didn't take the position of, well, nah, I think that's dangerous. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not standing up for that. No way. I'd rather not be the prophet than prove to you that I am. You didn't take that scaredy cat approach like all these guys were talking. Right? You know, you're not hearing them talking BS about Mansur Ball Bay who got shot. They're not comparing him to anybody. They're not using his death as, you know, something relative to sovereign whatever. Oh, because there was nothing like that. Or so then you should be talking about these highwaymen that killed him for nothing then. Opposed to talking about us. But they ain't gonna talk about that. You know what I mean? Why won't they go there? Because as soon as you start dealing with people's common sense, they're gonna realize that you're full of BS. And they stay away from common sense. They gravitate towards create conflict. They gravitate toward this head button thing to have people looking at like, you know what I mean, Moors don't have their stuff together. Right? It ain't that we have stuff together, it's that there's dirty Moors around here. And their job is to make sure people don't get this. Their job is to make sure that people are confused about this. Make sure that people's position of looking at their birthrights is somebody has to give it to them. Somebody has it that they gotta get it. Not that they can go out and just go study and now you got it. And then because you studied and now you got it, now you can wield it how you see fit because it's your birthright. And again, you know what I mean, if you're gonna be crazy with it, you know what I mean, you're gonna get what it is that you're supposed to get. It's not, that's just what it is. You know what I mean? You really think that because you got birthright, you're gonna go out there and then claim apartment building or whatever? Hey, you know what I mean? Go right ahead. You know what I mean? I would suggest not. Because that's not what this is about. This is about letting other people know about their birthright. And then when we get, so, you know, like, it's like Moors who we know that they know about claim houses and all that stuff, but you think they're just going out there and claim whatever? No. They're going to go to their boy who's a real estate agent, and their boy who's a real estate agent is going to give them the whole list of all the abandoned stuff in the entire place. Let them know who last had it, who still had it, how long it's been, you know, vacated or whatever like that. And now you can make a decision on what I'm going to claim. You're not going to just driving down and then see a house. Oh, that's a pretty big house right there. I think I'm going to claim that one. That ain't what this is, right? And again, when they start making those connections to make you think, oh, oh man, no, they did that. Oh, they couldn't have did that or whatever like that. BS. Because all these people that they claim are quote unquote squatters or whatever like that, go check the criminal record that they have now that they're in jail for 20 years or whatever like that. Ain't nothing on there said anything about they're arrested for squatting. Never, ever, 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 ever. Nobody. None of those people. They always have some secondary criminal charge that they're going to use, and then they throw out the ones that mean nothing. And they let that one that means something stick. Whether it was, you know, like a Moor. I was with a Moor yesterday, and he was downtown, right? Police came on the horses or whatever, right? You seen them coming there doing their, you know what I mean, get out the way, you know, move or whatever. So he moved around a corner. He moved around the corner, and then the police horse head came around the corner. So he put his hand up, because, you know, I mean, horse head. What the hell is this? Put his hand up, right? And then they charged him for obstructing a police officer.
Goddamn.
Right? And now he has to go to court, or whatever like that, for for that. Now, we know that ain't no charge. Like that's a ticket charge. That's not a charge at jail time or whatever like that. That's 50, 60 notes or something like that if they find. And it ain't no jail time, it ain't no nothing, nobody got killed, nothing like that. It's not that serious. They got him going to this, the court BS, right? Dealing with this situation, right? So we were building yesterday about how and he's somebody who's, he's been studying this info, just now getting into application of it, right? And we're going through his disclosure. And then he now, back in the day, when he came into consciousness, he went to their thing to go do the name correction and correct his name to, African name because of whatever, right? So that's the name that he's been had since like 2000. But they're charging him into the name that he changed from right now. Like in 2016, like he has papers that I'm not that name from prior to this name. Because he got papers from them that name is dissolved. The name now that we're going to be calling you, that we're going to put on licenses and whatever like that, is this African name. But they never charge him under that name. They charge him under the name prior to the change.
Fraud.
Right? And then these are the people doing these corrupt stuff or whatever. Because remember, they have documentation that he did a name change on their side. We're not talking about Moors. He went to the corporate people, did a name change. And then they're not recognizing that. But then we have, Lanrio Bay, we have Brother Supreme, myself, a few other Moors out here that went to court using name declaration from our side and then them accepting. Accepting the fact that, oh, you don't want to be called, okay, fine, we're not going to call you that, we're going to call you this name now. And then have the transcripts and all that stuff in the name that wasn't the name that they arrested you under or gave you a ticket under. So why they put the transcripts in that new name and not using the name from the instruments? Right? So these people are corrupt. And as soon as you start recognizing that they're corrupt and you start dealing with them that they're corrupt, right? Then it's causing them to have to change things that they've been doing that's corrupt. Because just like anybody else, you realize how these guys are running their little card shark or whatever, then you're not going to get played. You're not going to be gamed into losing your birthright. Which is what these Moors are trying to do, get people to relinquish their powers to the people classified as police, law enforcement, whatever like that, when these people are mercenaries that they have out here.
They want you to submit your will to a false god.
Yeah.
Submit your innate powers. Because it's funny you say that because I was watching Dr. Strange last night. And the theme that really stuck with me was that, the ancient one who is Celtic, who is pale skinned, says that I didn't heal him. The dude who was crippled or whatever.
Yeah, right, yeah.
He healed himself.
Right.
Physician, heal thyself. When I saw that, I'm like, yeah. Prophet said that. You're a priest unto yourself. So heal yourself.
You don't need no middleman.
Right. I was like, there it is again.
And the people want to be people's middleman. They want to be the one that people go to in order to get their whatever that's Moorish.
They want to broker the deal.
Right? You can't broker the deal between Allah and people. Especially when all those individuals are Allah in flesh.
Let me add up this too.
Yeah.
I have a 1-year-old daughter, and you can't even tell her this. Like, if she doesn't want something, she doesn't want it. And she'll speak to you in many ways. So for an adult to still be in this state of mind, like it's a joke. Which other God beside you have you ever seen? And if you met somebody else become your God, then whose fault is it? And then you have adults telling little babies who came out of them that you have some other God. So the child starts to believe now there is something outside of you. And if there is something outside of you, then obviously that God doesn't exist. Because how could he be outside of you and not inside of you? So if I can tell anything to my 1-year-old child, and this is the program that she came under, and you have adults still talking about police and corporation and fear of something outside of themselves, and having to speak to someone outside of yourself. Like, it's very retarded, like I don't, I can't just digest. So, for this class now, it's, I came here to see the family. And it's all about meeting your family. Because you have everything you need. There is nothing outside of you. And when you read, if you think you're reading a book, you are the book. I don't know what else you're reading. You're supposed to be reading yourself. You study yourself. Why do I behave this way? Why do I dislike this? What is it? Like, you have to question yourself. And the answers are within yourself. They're not outside of you. So if you think you're going to take something from this class and run outside, like...
Yeah, and they use it out there.
And then use it against where you get the information from. Because you want to have your own thing. So that means you never had your own thing to begin with. Because if you had your own thing to begin with, you have nothing to run with.
You would have been doing that. Straight.
So, like, I don't understand why people are still questioning. Like, question period is over. It's time now to do something. And do something about yourself.
Not building up something or whatever like that to have, you know, Negroes in there, in the stuff that you do. You know what I mean? Dealing with self. This is the whole thing too with the open perspective of or the open concept of RV Bay Publications, that you're going there for yourself to learn. Ain't nobody telling you go there for whatever like that because you're gonna get this, get that. You're going there because, hey, ain't nobody else out there that's telling you what they're telling you. Guaranteed. You know what I mean? And once you go there and you double check, you fact check, you do your research, you realize that everything that's on there is right and exact. Ain't nothing that nobody can argue. You know what I mean? Because you can't argue truth. As soon as you start challenging truth, clearly you're a liar. As soon as you start talking about, you know what truth is, just like we know that, you can't look outside yourself, and then people are coming and talking about, oh, outside yourself is where stuff's at. You already know that these people are playing. And you just recognize that these people are playing, and then you don't deal with them. You know what I mean? And then that's it.
One thing I also want to add up about the so-called Europeans, or whatever you might call them every other day.
Canadian.
See the difference between the original people? We use a lot of emotions. And the so-called Europeans are mentalists. They deal with mental power. That's why they have no emotion whatsoever. We get caught up in the emotion.
Yeah.
Every little thing is emotion. And if you're that emotion, how come you're not close to your mother? Because that's where your emotions came from. They're not connected to their mother because they are motherless. Because if they had mother, they would have had emotion. But they don't have, obviously. They're just called. That shows you that they're a nuclear family. They're not extended. They don't extend the thing. So now we get caught up in the emotion. Every little thing, oh, somebody's trying to look down on me, oh, somebody's trying. You holding yourself, then nobody can hold you. But the problem, if you grow up in a household that everybody was holding each other, imagine coming outside facing the wall, you can't.
It's done for your dinner.
And this is the reason why even this so-called LGB, it's all about emotions. And when you see a woman going out with a woman, it's because of emotion. She is totally disturbed of what so-called men have been doing. So now, they result, okay, here's another female. My emotions are
Gonna be handled.
absolutely. And they don't realize it's an emotion thing. It's not something that they were born with it, or it's not something that they became, no. And once you heal your emotions, you realize, okay, I'm in balance now, and everything has to have an opposite.
Everything's gonna be healed.
Yeah, like, how am I going with another man that's not an opposite? That's how you have the devil and the God. Everything is opposite, cold and hot, up and down. You have to have an opposite. You can't have the same thing.
Duality.
Right.
So it's insane, and no wonder little children right now are emotionally disturbed, they don't know. And we as the adults also disturbed, we have nothing to teach them. So you are your own God, basically. Don't look anything outside of you, never. Because the moment you look something outside of you, no wonder they say God is a jealous God, because you are. Hey, you don't want nothing else besides you. So, will you want anybody else to be worshipped beside you? No, everybody wants to be the main man. Be the main man to yourself, not to somebody else.
Right.
And you find yourself getting healed.
Straight.
Now you're not jealous of nothing. You've been jealous of yourself.
So when it's the issue of finding God in yourself, do you find an issue with like using tools like tarot cards and stuff like that?
Well, I mean, all those are mediums to prove the point to you that everything's within. You know, because it's within that you're gonna. It's because of what's within is what's gonna make you trust that card. It's not the card. It's that you pull that one. You could have pulled any of these 50 and you pull that one, which is you know, directing you to the reference point that, oh, you're obviously on the right path because, you know, this is the one that you were looking for or whatever. You know what I mean? Or this is the warning that you were looking to get. Why would you even do the cards in the first place if you didn't have some type of connection beyond the cards to the cards? You know what I mean? You know, somebody says, what do you call it? Ouija board or whatever, right? Same thing. You have to know that you yourself could connect with those entities for the Ouija board to work.
Because you're an antenna, right? So the frequencies you pick up on, the interpretation is out there. And our ancestors put it out there because that's our technology. That's like the real like computer work and the ones and zeros, binary codes and stuff like that. So when you pick, it's like our cell phones or radios. How come we have restrictions? I mean, if you check the ethers, everything's free. But the devices that are created, there are filters. Like, you know, you want to get 300 and up, well, Roger's got to send a dude, put the clip in, and now the flood's
now the stream is
right.
broken,
You know, the river's always there. But now Rogers is, you know, release the dam to you. Whereas you being the antenna, you being grounded, you already pick it up. You know, like you have, because you'll find you have a lot of phantom thoughts. You know, things you're trying to focus on things, but things are flying in and out. But you still want to focus on what you need to focus on.
Like you said with the channels.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, frequency.
I just want to add to that. Like, another thing too is like a lot of people, they have a lot of spookism about stuff that they don't understand, like tarot cards and astrology and, you know what I mean? Stuff that's beyond the five senses, like beyond the unseen. When realistically, the unseen was before the material. The unseen is when you come into existence, right? Most of the stuff that you get, I mean, all the stuff that you come into is a thought. It could be, I mean, it's a thought of Allah, a thought of your mother, all these things that, I mean, it was already preordained. If you go to another level, like if you're the spirit man, you're coming here for a reason. You're not just coming here for 60 years or 30 years or just to be here. I mean, the Almighty is, come on, He's more magnificent than that. Did you just come just for an experience of 30 mindless years or 60 mindless years? Or you're here for a reason. You're here to learn something. So the spirit man can learn something, so when he goes back to the spirit world, that makes you a more complete spirit. So if you look at it at that aspect, anything that uplifts your spirit or uplift you to become a better person or to get to your path, take it. Don't care what anybody thinks. Because unless they're telling you the truth and telling you how to get there, then F you. You know what I mean? I'm doing me.
Can I just want to say a couple of things. In regards to the RV Bay publication you just spoke about, as far as it's a place we go to get proper information to realign ourselves. So if we look at it like, you know, because sometimes that's how I look at it, like a chest of spices. You're a chef. You know, being a chef, you're a scientist because you're mixing different ingredients. So at the end of the day, there's some things you can put in your meal that will bring you up or bring you down depending on what you're trying to achieve. But then there's some things that if you use too much of it, can harm you. You know, so to that point, it's like before you even start, you know, going deeper and deeper into the literature, there's an order of operation. You got to have that foundation. You got to know what it boils at over 100 degrees and up. You know what it's going to boil. So once you start understanding those properties, then you can go in and take the defend yourself against taxes. You know, all those little pamphlets that are there, but you have to get the foundation first. You got to get Circle 7, the 101s, the Red Book,
Moorish literature.
Yeah, pretty much anything that the Prophet put out there that's being cascaded to us. But anything in his words, because I was reading an article and, you know, it was a modern European. I think you covered the article a while back. Someone was pretty much trying to put the dog on the Prophet as far as, you know, he plagiarized and so on and so forth. And I was reading it and I'm like, well, you know, this person's in error. Because, again, accusing the Prophet of plagiarism, I'm like, well, Levi brought it from Tibet. And our ancestors over there held it for us. You know, so by him doing that, you know, Allah is so great that he used Levi to bring the information over here. Because when the Prophet came back from his journey from the east, he didn't have much with him. You know, he had nothing really to declare. You know, so him coming with nothing, everything was already here. So if you look at the Circle 7, it says it's divinely prepared by the Prophet. So which means he's not taking credit for, you know, just like if you're putting something together from Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, you know, you didn't write it. You know, so when you hear people talking that game that the Prophet plagiarized and so on and so forth, you know they're already in error. You know, you don't even have to move your pawns or anything. They've already checkmated themselves because they don't comprehend how to sit through the fog. So when we look at it from that perspective, the ingredients that you need to do that lasagna, you know, you need the basic foundation. You know, that veggie lasagna and so on and so forth. So it's one of those things that, you know, for people who attack RBB publication and for people who accept it and think that, okay, well, this is what's going on, you're really attacking yourself because you're shooting yourself in the foot. So at the end of the day, you just have to know that the naysayers will always be there, and they're there to, like, you know, hamper us down. So you just got to know that, you know, if you eat too much pepper, and if it's homemade, you're gonna go to the washroom. Until your body gets used to it, then it'll serve its purpose. But till then, it's gonna, you know, cleanse you out, because it's foreign to you, so your body wants to get rid of it. But you just have to, you know, take your time, drink your water, so on and so forth. That's one thing. And then in regards to Moorish World TV, you know, these guys are saying that they're not agents. You know, okay, they may not be agents. They may not be getting paid or whatever, but their actions say differently. Because if you look at what's the dude's name?
Tarka.
Yeah, if you look at his background, you see 3 flags. And when you start studying, and depending on where you're at, but just keep this in mind. When you see a flag, or flags being, you know, placed behind individuals, the flag on the person on Cujo's right is the superior flag. Think back on the Moorish World TV, Tahaka's stuff, and think of which flag is on the right, which flag's in the middle, and which flag's on the left.
Is it like with the original Trinity? How it was like not that men is above, but it's the masculine energy, then the child, and then the wife. So that's why the right would be.
Yeah, I think
masculine, not dominant.
I think it has something to do with that, but you know, internationally, you have to realize that the flag that's on the right is superior, which is our left. We're looking at it, and I believe the flag that's on the right on that Moorish World in that studio is, I believe, the amity, Star Spangled Banner, and then the middle is the American flag, which is the red and the 5-pointed green star, and then to the left of that is our RBG. So in my mind, when I saw it, I'm like, okay, yeah, you're talking about unity, but so was the prophet. But he kept it real, because I even saw a picture of him sitting in front, you know, in the office, and again, our flag is on the right.
Right.
Amity is on the left. So you have to take that into consideration and think about that they don't even realize that they're telling on themselves.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, it hit me because, you know, I looked at them like, but wait, there's something wrong. If you're legitimate, if you're de jure, you keep it real. Forget about unity. Unity is one flag. The red with the 5-pointed green star. Anything outside of that, you're shooting yourself in the foot. So these dudes, these guys, these dirty Moors need to check themselves as far as, you know what, you're telling on yourself. And you're not even being slick about it. You know, so just keep that in mind.
Bold face.
Yeah, because it struck me. I'm like, but wait, you're saying one thing, you're for the prophet, but yet you're putting our flag in a superior, you know, when that's the flesh and blood. So I don't care if we're doing unity, but unity is under one flag. And that's what the prophet brought for us. RGB can do whatever they want, but at the end of the day, it's one flag. You know, you have one mother. You don't have 2, 3, 4, 5. One mother. And that's our mother right there. So just by that action in and of itself, again, you know, you can walk into someone's room and you can tell a lot about a person. You know, you come here, you got one flag. That's a flag. So right there and then, and I hope they do check this out, because he needs to think about that, you know, because he's going to probably say something about unity, and this is for unity and we're bringing people together. Not when you're running the nation. Right. Not when you're dealing with the prophet's work. You know, you keep it real, or, you know, you're going to get...
And then some of the justification for the flag switching too is going to be them using, there's an image where you have, holy smokes!
Islam. I also want to add up something what is burned. I don't know why people are paying attention, listening to this crap. Because you're wasting your time the moment you start.
Wasting your time.
Like, if it doesn't sit well with you, like forget it. Like don't like debating and going through all this. It's just a waste of time. And back to what you was saying about the cards. Yes, you are right what you're saying, but that's a little bit higher knowledge in order for you to get in. And for you being a woman, it's actually easier. Because all the tarot cards, all astrology, everything is connected to a woman's body. No wonder all the witches and witchcrafts are always feminine, always female. That taught their son, and the son corrupted.
And it's the thing too, even the goddess of wisdom, like first it's Tahuti Thoth, but the woman behind him is Sesha, and she's the scribe, so she's the keeper of all the knowledge, she's the giver of the knowledge. So I've done tarot and I just started to understand astrology, and I figured, when I started to understand astrology, it blew my mind because it literally tells the future, and I feel like people don't understand. Like it scared me. I was like, what?
And not only that, but it's also actually 13, not 12, and that's a man. When you see the 12,
you're holding a snake or
the
wrestling.
13 is a feminine. And when you add up 13 plus 12, you get 25. 2 plus 5, 7. This is also the 7 energies. So by them saying number 13 is bad, it's destroying the feminine energy, Mother Nature.
And it's always fear-based, because even that symbol, like the pentagram, that was the most terrifying thing from childhood. I was like, Jesus. But then you get older and you realize, like, when I started learning sacred geometry, like, it's, in the menial sense, it's just a shape, but there is so sacred, because it represents so many. My God.
This is the key. And you're very enlightened as a young person. You're on the right path. I see you taking notes. I mean, in this age, if you're doing this, you don't need no YouTube or someone to come and show you and tell you anything. You're already on the right path. As easy as it is. And if this is the fear that you had, there was a reason why you had that fear. Because they always try to put things that belong to us as negative in order for you to feel.
So you won't come back to it.
So this is a family. I came here to see my own family.
Yes.
Islam. I didn't come here to, no, I'm here to see the family. This is the whole key. And there is our teacher. I listen. I'm actually talking too much today. Usually I say 1 or 2 words. I just, because there's no question, there's nothing I need to question. I'm just here to see the family. And that's about it. So I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad you're saying what you're saying. And that's all I have to say.
You had something?
Yeah, so I just
and
say.
then we're gonna get you. I know it's been a while. You need to say something.
Yeah, I just want to add to that. We love to see the sisters in the classes because everything is feminine energy, right? We came from a woman. We came from the womb, right? All the planets are feminine. I mean, maybe except for Mars, but so basically, like you were saying about the 13. Like people think there's like a woman's supposed to have 12 cycles. It's 13 really, right? So basically, astrology and all these different Moorish science, which is they're all Moorish science. Even tarot cards is Moorish science, right? But they try to pervert it to, like you said, to make it look like it's bad. I mean, Baphomet is bad. The Illuminati is bad. No, the Illuminati, it's our stuff. They just use it in a bad intent. They have bad intentions with, and they use it for bad intentions. But it's really good. It's the light, and you're supposed to use it. If you use it in the light, or you use it for good intentions, you'll get good results, right? So they just try to pervert everything so you don't go back to what's ours.
What was I don't understand the purpose. Like negativity, I can't even fathom it. Because if you're reading this, because they know the information we know, like to a T. If they know it, so how could I don't understand how you can work in that in darkness, knowing what's to come after? Like how do they
solve game? Like
They're only looking at here.
Really?
They're not
Astrology.
looking at after.
But they know what's after.
Yeah, oh yeah,
So how
oh yeah.
how can you?
All majority actually teachers, they do it for a self-gain. Like, I will like you and start with you and tell you things that you didn't know. You start now worshiping me. You see, this instead of healing you and freeing you up, I want you to become my slave.
Power.
So the whole thing, it's because I see true people, and whoever that I need to heal, I will go in without telling them, heal them, and exit.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie too, because even sometimes, for me, I have to fight myself, my lower self, to say, don't try to do this for yourself. I mean, because it's so easy to caught up when you have knowledge, and other people don't, and it's easy to try to say, use it for your own gain, or even just use it to make yourself sound like you're better than somebody else. Even it's just as a small aspect as that. But our lower self, which is the devil, people try to say the devil is outside the devil is in you. Just like in some movies, they have the angel on one side, they have the devil on one side. You're both you. Is what you want to project, right? And the more you study, and the more you know yourself, and the more you know law, and the more you know astrology, and the more you know everything, is the more that you know that the ego is the devil, and that your higher self is connected to Allah. And if you want to learn your lesson in this time around, in whatever years you have on this soul, on the material plane and soul plane, that you have to study and learn to know your path. And once you know your path, life will just be so easy, because then the ego will be like, you know what I mean? It's under control. I'm not saying that it won't come back up once in a while, but you know yourself, you know your path, and you know what I mean? This is what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to be exercising my birthrights.
Yeah.
You know what I
Say
mean?
that thought right there. You had something, Lord Albay?
Islam.
Islam.
Tallahassee, Albay. I didn't meet you before, but what the brothers, I'm going to just cram it in right quick. The fear of 666, but he's talking about the devil and all this negative stuff. It's really 6 neutrons, 6 electrons, 6 protons. Carbon. I don't know, we keep on saying melanin, okay, we deal with the skin. But the carbon, the more carbon you got, the darker your reflection you have. But really, as following humanity is the woman. She no longer knows herself. You see? And once she knows herself, you can do great science, whatever they want to call it, voodoo, witchcraft, whatever they want to call it. You can do great things with this knowledge of self. And then bring up the women so they can start teaching their sons who they really are, because this energy that we think that gives life, what we call the seed with the semen, really came from our mother anyways. So she is everything. If they can keep us in fear of ourselves and spook us out of our own knowledge and self, they got us beat. We call ourselves black, we're property. Now if you want to be property, but I found my way home. And like he said, Shifter, I came to see the family.
Hey. And that's the thing too with the 666, like one man's devil is another man's God.
Right.
But
we're fearing ourselves.
But the thing is, there's another thing that, we must know what words mean. God and devil,
Yeah, exactly.
spell devil backwards, what do you got? I mean, we got to get rid of all this stuff and start teaching ourselves to read our own knowledge again. We got to shed, like the animals, strap their coat, the horses, dogs, shed that stuff off, that knowledge that we were bringing up. Yeah, shed it off, because being ourselves is the greatest thing. On the way I was here, I seen a Morisco, Asiatic. Man, he was saying peace, and I was like, okay, let me have a word with you. He said, I know all about Prophet No Drug. Hey, brother, what's up, brother? All right, you know what time of day it is. Now it's time to be yourself, that's all. But when we put the light on, because even if we have the light off, they start looking at us like we're black people. We're dead. Unless you start talking, then they know. Because really, this crown here that we got from you, sister, and our mothers and our daughters and everything. The thing is, this is like a beacon, right? So when they see this, people get excited if they know about it.
Well, they get excited, all right.
Yeah, they get excited. Even if they don't know about it, they want to be getting all crazy.
He's on something, yeah.
Yeah.
Something I don't.
Something's up.
But the thing is, what I'm trying to tell you is following humanity. But I don't know what you guys talked about, but I heard these brothers talking and breaking down a little bit of science to you. It's really about following humanity, the woman itself. It's all designed behind the woman. So whatever you gotta do and get this information while you're young, and get this out, because I wish I had got it when I was younger, because whew, that's all I can say.
Islam. You got a closing? We'll just close with last.
Yeah, like, what number is this letter in the alphabet? Anybody knows? Letter S?
It's like 19 or something.
There you go. 19. So what happens now if I remove this?
Allah.
So what?
What do you see now here?
Allah.
Okay, what about here? Okay, watch here now. This is a key, which is from 1 to 9. See, when you're reading, it says, they put us under a spell. This is how you digest when you're reading. You can see everything out of one word that will satisfy you. But the problem is they programmed us. We can only do it the way they wrote it. Because you need to ask yourself, who wrote it this way? What energy were they under? How can I rearrange? See, you have 5 letters. So I read totally different when I'm looking at. You also get here Islam. You get everything out of that 5 letters. No wonder everything stays on 5. I don't want to get the whole thing, but go on, and I'm going to be outside.
With regard to the 13 as well. If we
I shopped there a couple of weeks ago to see you passed by the brother.
you do this,
The barber shop. You know I haven't been there. No,
if you do that, we have a pregnant mother. With the D, right? Which we're just verifying the whole thing about 13 being feminine, right? Once you recognize that it's feminine, then you know when you see 12th floor penthouse, you stop calling it penthouse, you call it 13th floor. When you see 11, 12, 14, you got 14, 13. You know what I mean? You start recognizing that, you know, the representation of 13 is really people dealing with the feminine frequency without putting it out that that's what they're dealing with. So they'll, in your face, you're thinking that, oh, they're dealing with patriarch, but in the background, they're dealing with matriarch. And then that's why they're ahead and then we're behind, because we're looking at them exercise and we're thinking, oh, well, so then it's about brick and mortar and, you know what I mean, build something and take scimitars, take people's head when they violate you and all that. That's not, if we get back to the metaphysical of what it is, we'll be further ahead than dealing with what's here solely, right? And before we close, if there's and then the flag, the Moorish flag on the left and the banner on the right comes from an emblem that they have, that they sell, where they have the flags crossing, right? And then they look at that as that's what it is. But this is on a pole. It's a root. And this is on a pole. Right? And them being, the poles being crossed doesn't make that on this side. Like even if this going this way, this is still, if we're going to the root or the foundation for this flag is over here. So this is really supposed to be going this way. Right? It's not supposed to be going that way. But again, it comes back to that thing about if they're going to claim the birthright, they're going to put themselves as the head, right? Or obverse, and they're going to put us as the reverse or tail. Right? Any questions before we close out? Or comments?
Something interesting happened to me on my way here today. You know, I have this thing with, you know, with time. So I was just rushing today. Not really rushing, but you know, my goal was to get here because again, I've been following, and again, like Shifter in Tallahassee, came to see the family. Yeah. You know, always supporting the family. So I had to get some gas, and you know, today was the first day that I really put on my fez. You know, and it was, you know, I had my brother order it for me, and it came sometime last week. And for me, I don't, you know, I know what the fez is and what it does, but you know, I'm very low key. I see myself like a ninja. I like to move stealthy. You know, I don't even want you to know that I'm here, but you know, so for the most part, you know, I don't really, you know, put it out there to wear my fez, but it's an honorable thing to do. So I'm here, stopped at the Shell gas station. And again, if you look at the whole Shell emblem, it's the sun, right? The rising sun or setting sun. You know, so I got out the car, you know, I'm fezzed up, started pumping gas. On the other side is a modern European. He's pumping gas, you know. And then out of nowhere I heard, thank you for the sun, you know, for such a good day, and you know, because it was bright. It was bright. I came from the east, and he was like, "Thank you, you know, for shining the light, for today being such a beautiful day." And it hit me, you know. I just started doing the math in my head. I'm like, if I was putting the impression out there that I was Negro, black, colored, I wouldn't hear anything.
For real.
You know, now mind you, I drove music blasting and everything, and I'm listening to the WoW album, the Al Moroccans, because that's, you know, how I get my lessons in also, you know, that repetitiveness, you know, and I knew what was up. I knew what time it was. You know, he knows who I am and who he is, and his place in the circle of life, you know. So it just hit me. I'm like, wow, the first day I decide to, I'm running late, I'm thinking, oh my God, my world's crashing on me, but at the same time, I still have that thing that I'm wearing the crown that my mother gave me, you know, and passed down for our ancestors. And it was just like, dude was like, he was elated, and it really, like, I've never had a modern European, you know, like I said, I'm low key, I don't go in anybody's face or whatever, but today was the day I'm like, you know what, just let me put it on, you know, see what's up, you know, go see the family. So I did. So it was just like, it threw me back, but it didn't, because I understood what was up. So I go in, and I'm going to pay, and the dude is, who's at I should say the Moor, because he's from the east. I think he's from Hindustani, India. You know, but he looks at me, and he says, "Are you Muslim?" Like, yeah. You know, I'm a Grib al-Aqsa, you know, I'm home. This is home. You know, got the flag on, you know, and he's like, you know, so we just give each other some signs of respect. But those two things right there for me, it was just like, you know, I know it's real, but for it to be demonstrated, like, you know, you're not going out of your way to, you know, like, if you ever listen to that Tahaka dude, like, this dude's just loud, unnecessarily loud, you know. And the thing is more is, if you're doing missionary work, you just do the work and keep it moving, you know. You don't let your left hand know what the right hand's doing, vice versa, right? So it really struck me, and, you know, I'm just driving, I don't even know how I got here, you know, and I was just traveling on the highway, but I just had thoughts going through my head and listening to the music. I'm like, you know, and I came, and I've never, ever, ever gotten the first spot parking. Ever, ever, ever. Never, ever. You know, and it was just like, it was right there waiting for me. Yeah. Normally, Omar or Omari's got that spot, because he has the hair on, you know, on time and just prepping everything for us. But never, ever. And then I remembered something that my best friend's dad said a long time ago, you know, because when I was getting into this, well, not Moorish science per se, under the guise of Moorish science, but just our science, not knowing that it was Moorish science. you know, one of the things he said to me was, you know, see yourself parking, you know. So somehow, some way, I saw myself, because I'm always worried, like, am I gonna get parked and so on and so forth. But it was just, everything was just cool, you know. It was just seamless, flawless, like, it was just beautiful. So, you know, that was just my little experience this morning. I'm like, wow, you know, because on the weekend before, you know, the same time that I got the feds, you know, I wore it, you know, and I got a little bit of flack from family. I'm talking family, Negro, black, colored people at home. I'm just like, wow, you know. So I just walked out there. I was disheartened. I was sad, man, because, you know, you don't gotta like it, but don't disrespect.
Yeah,
you know,
straight.
You know, so you know, so I just walked out.
You don't have to feel sad, bro.
No, it wasn't. But for me, it was just that thing that, you know, this is how you know, like, you will be tested, and it's not people testing you. It's your higher self testing you to make sure that
you're square.
Yeah,
you know, and you would probably feel more sad for your family.
Yeah, man.
Than for yourself.
Yeah, bro. And that's what it was, man.
I get you.
Just in their own stuff.
Yeah, because I push it on. Not really push it on, but my thing right now, I have a communication problem as far as
we all do that.
Telling the story. And this is one of the things that I realized, that in this whole experience of, you know, the prophet coming to my life, is to, again, get me right. You know, because on an academic level, I know I've failed, like, as far as the way we've been indoctrinated. So just all this happening, and, you know, the prophet just putting out the study. I've never heard anyone, you know, push that.
You didn't fail academically.
No, but you know what I mean.
You were saved, brother.
Right.
If you got that academic stuff, then you might not be here.
You got it.
You might be running around saying Black Power.
No.
Fucking around with, what's his name? That brother over on the other side of the Great Lakes, El Sharp.
Yeah, for real.
Today, I went to work. To fix bro's car. His belt broke, so I went there to fix his car. Him now, his mom goes to work, so I had to keep him until 12 when she come. I goes, Simon, I can't go home, have shower or anything, because mom gonna see us and you not gonna be able to make it. So I don't know, if I go home and I catch her, if we don't catch her, well, you're good to go. But if we catch her, you can come. This little man said, why are you worrying about that? Let's us not go home. And this is the little man, God, you worrying about that? The best thing is not to go home. Go straight. And here we are.
Go straight.
And this is the little man.
It's love.
So what are you worrying about? Don't worry about that.
Just to add to that, with my car breaking, my conveyance broken down, the funny thing is, I heard some funny noise, but, like, I mean, I try not to worry about stuff anyways, right? I just do what I'm doing, right? And I'm on Highway 400 going to Highway 7. I was gonna go sign in at the police station on some stupid shit that I'm going through now. But anyways, as soon as I'm coming off Highway 7, no, as soon as I'm coming close to Highway 7, I see the lights flashing. All the lights are flashing, like all this, on the dashboards, everything's going crazy. I'm losing power in the car. I feel it in the car is losing power. You know what I mean? Even though it's still going. And then I end up getting off the ramp, getting off the highway, Highway 7, going off of Highway 7 onto this other street, into the parking lot, right into the space, and it died. I'm like, thank you, Allah. Thank you for not stranding me on the highway. And that's just the divine power, like, of the Moorish movement. Everybody's thinking about, you know what I mean, writing writs, going to court, fighting with knowledge, you know. But you have to, once you're honoring your ancestors and you're honoring being a natural person, the ancestors will be with you always. Like, you mean, I've been stranded on the highway before. I know how. That's why I'm begging, please, just make me make it. And I made it right into the spot before it died. Right, and I called my brother, and he came, and he's not a mechanic. He's a body guy, right? And at the end of the day, we ended up fixing the mechanic problem.
I told him, listen, Moors teach these people to make cars.
Hey.
Why can't Moors fix it?
Yeah.
We never make one, but why can't we fix it?
Straight up.
All this little man, he was there too, because his hand's small to hold the belt, don't know hold it like this. This little man was there.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
All three of us.
Lord
All
of
three
it.
of us.
Yeah, there's no. I don't know these brothers. What brought you to Moorish Science Temple? Was it Bilal or Muhammad?
It was this guy I watched on YouTube.
Oh, yeah?
His name was he's still called the 13th Son.
Oh, okay.
And he was a Moor, and he was just everything he said just made too much sense for me to ignore it.
Yes, yes.
But the first time they had a lecture in Hamilton, I showed up.
Right.
And I've always been a
Oh, I think I was there. Yeah.
yeah.
You were there, Hamilton. Yeah.
It's been a while.
Yes.
But we do hip hop a lot. We actually were a group and we've toured like in the last couple months,
Right.
a bunch of different things. And I saw that book right there, Hip Hop Decoded, and just talking about like the foods that we consume and the crystals that we like that are on the planet, the rocks and stuff, like the vibrations about them. I noticed that there was something I was doing prior to coming into the information.
Right.
And then I realized, okay, if I'm kind of subconsciously doing these things, might as well make it conscious.
Right. Yes. No, because why I asked that, because I was saying, like, if it was a Muhammad thing, you know how you're Muslim, right? Are you Muslim before you came?
No.
No? So I thought it was something like that.
Well, like for me, it was just the system. A lot of the stuff didn't resonate. So I was just naturally just seeking for the truth. That I believe it is a natural system.
I don't know about the truth, but deal with the facts is a lot better.
Yeah, for real.
We all got truth, but the truth will confuse you.
Because there is truth and divine truth too.
Yeah.
Truth and divine truth.
But then you got the facts.
The facts is different, sir.
It
Facts.
just,
Yeah.
like,
It's
you
a
know,
difference.
it's like when I was talking to a brother, why I brought that up, he was talking about Muhammad and Bilal. And then he was saying, well, geez, why is everybody talking about Muhammad and saying Bilal was Muhammad's slave when Bilal was really Muhammad's teacher?
Yeah, we were talking about that before you came.
Now you see how all over it works. Now you see the high science.
Yeah,
This is what I'm trying to tell you. Was I here, brothers and sisters? Was I here, brothers and sisters?
Yeah, you were here.
Islam.
I was about to say that because that's what we were doing this morning, introducing ourselves, how we get to know and look.
Yeah, even that too, because that was the theme in the beginning.
Yeah, that was the theme.
How did everybody get into it?
And then come ask you this.
You asked the smoke signals.
Now, sister, this is what full light is.
Yes.
Smoke signals.
When you're being yourself,
Being yourself.
it's like we don't even have to really use words.
And then he's coming in right on frequency, right? But we haven't seen him in 6-8 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what?
You know what I mean?
See that?
Like you know, like phone go down, no phone calls. You know what I mean?
No, look, I
Maybe
still-
a message on Facebook
My
or whatever
phone
like that.
still don't work, but I carry because I can play with some certain hotspots, right? You know? Because I don't even really need that, because it's like he'll tell you, I'm dealing with smoke signals, telepathy, energy, vibration, whatever it is. Whatever it is, it is.
I have a question about cats. I read online some of Noble Drew Ali's like just what he was talking about. He said if you knew what cats were, you wouldn't even deal with them. I did.
I actually said if you knew what a black cat was.
Black cat was.
Yeah.
And I've done acid before. When I did acid, there was one point where we're like, hey, let's go to sleep. Like it's late, so we're lying down and a cat shows up. And my friend's petting the cat, and as I'm watching her, we're both seeing the same thing. There's static going through her body. And I'm telling my friend in my head, I didn't say it out loud because we're both scared. And I'm just like, let go of the cat, but she keeps petting it, and she's still petting it. And I don't know, you know the Fibonacci sequence?
Yeah.
You know, what's it called? Romanesco broccoli? Like that's like a really, it's just like, it's based just Fibonacci sequence, but it's really weird shaped.
Right.
And I watched a really aggressive frequency go through her body, and then her face went into a Fibonacci sequence. I sprinted out of the house because I'm black. Like I didn't want to deal with that. Like no, thank you. More my bad.
See the mind, see the psychic? That's the shedding part I was trying to say to you.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. But if you can drop that shed, it'll speed up it'll speed up whatever you're going through.
It's funny you say that, as far as, because in Doctor Strange, the suspension of the body, how,
Oh yeah.
how she pushes
Pushing
his
the soul
astral,
out of the
yeah.
body or whatever.
When he said that, that's how I saw that whole thing
Yeah.
unfold.
Because that was the thing too, like, there's always the perception that, like, demons are, like, scary looking things,
Right,
but
right.
that night I honestly thought I saw a demon, but it just came through as, like, frequency.
Yeah.
But it was really
Energy.
aggressive
Yeah.
frequency.
Yeah.
It was weird.
And I mean, that's the same thing with people, with this whole thing with DMT and mushrooms and things, ayahuasca and whatever, you know what I mean? Like, it again, going back to the conversation of last night, like, when we look at all these galactic universe, you know, space themed movies, alien movies or whatever, that's what these people are doing to get their characters and stuff. Hit some acid, hit some whatever, go into the other side, whatever you see, jot it down, draw it, whatever like that, come back, put the stuff in a movie, make $1 million. Because, you know what I mean? Nobody ever seen that. You know, Avatar, and, you know, we were talking about Avatar, Predator, you know what I mean? Certain movies where the makeup of the quote unquote alien is Asiatic. You know what I mean? It ain't no, you know what I mean, oblong or whatever like that. Like, it's, you know that, okay, they're trying to represent Asiatic with that alien right there. You know what I mean? Right? Yeah, you know?
I don't know if anyone's been on YouTube recently. Like, you know, they have YouTube commercials. Have you seen that Gaia TV stuff? Right? It's just because it's like preaching knowledge, but they're tweaking it.
Like they're saying pretty much that they're gonna let the cat out the box and say about the center
Everyone,
Earth and
But that's the thing. People are like, oh my god, I haven't heard this information, so they're gonna flock to this, but they're gonna give them false information. Because I'm watching it, it's like there's people who lived in the center of the earth. They were Asia, and they show pictures of like white people, but their eyes are a little bit farther apart. They look kind of alien-esque. And I'm watching this. I'm like, this is so scary because people this was called the year of disclosure, right? So they're gonna give people all this information, but they're just gonna guide them in the wrong direction.
Right.
It's really.
But again, it goes back to the thing about if people aren't grounded with knowledge or something, right? Then they're gonna get taken into oblivion. You know what I mean? But the individuals who know what's up, they're not out there, you know what I mean, caught up in those illusionary things there that people are trying to pull. Because it just can't work. You know what I mean? It's gonna be conflict to where you are in your frame of mind. Because they're gonna be telling you things that they're trying to reach people who are weak minds. They're not trying to get people who are us. They're trying to get people who aren't where we're at. So they can, it's the same thing like what the law of attraction stuff and all that did. It's the exact same thing. Get people who don't realize that, there's 12 universal laws or whatever, 13 universal laws. These people focusing on one and saying that one that they got is the most important one. Everything else, don't worry about it or whatever. And then people are running with them. You know what I mean? And then when they run with them, all this backlash from the 12 other universal laws attack them.
Can you like list them off? Because I only have about 6 that I know.
Law of mentalism, duality, correspondence, gender, cause and effect,
rhythm,
vibration. How much is that? 8 or something? Balance.
Perpetual transmutation. This is just things I looked up yesterday.
I think that's correspondence. That would be in line with correspondence too. All is mental. There's probably 3 more, but if that would be correspondence as well, as above, so below, those ones. But yeah, all those stuff is online. You know what I mean? You can find those. That ain't nothing. And then once you get those, then you have the foundation of what the universal laws or what you should put your attention towards as far as what you're experiencing happening. You know what I mean? So if you come down with a sickness, okay, well, there was a cause for that effect. You know, you go back to the cause, then you realize, oh, I shouldn't even went outside without a hat or whatever. That's why I got the, okay, well, now I know hat every day, all day, because, you know, once it's a certain temperature, this is what it's going to be. You know what I mean? Everything is mental. You know, not looking at, again, like what Shifter was saying, outside here ain't nothing. God is inside. Issues inside. Somebody else inside. Everything has to do with inside, and it's projecting outside as, or it's being projected outside that you can see, but it's not really about what's outside. It's about what is going on inside here. And once the things are going on inside here properly, then out here is going to be, and you're going to have no issues out here. You know? Last comment, I'm going to close out.
Just to add on to what Friendship said, you have to look, okay, you don't have to, but here's something to consider. Look at it from the perspective that you're the only one in this room. You're projecting me, this young man, Tallahassee, you brought him here, you brought everybody in here, this is you. So everything that you see out there, because you're the event horizon, everything starts with you. And that's why the prophet says that we're all connected. You know, we're all connected by his strength.
Everything is bound by a cord.
Right. And if you check the red book, it's love. Love connects everything together. So the fact that you're pushing that, projecting that image out there, because remember, your eyes take in and send out. So everything that you're putting out there, whether it be quote unquote good or bad, it's coming back to you, which you're taking it in, and now you're filtering it out, like when you go to sleep and, you know, sorting your cards out and whatever, and then you're solving your problems. So you gotta look at it from the point of view that, you know, you brought me here. Like, we're supporting you in your movie. Our goal is to make sure you win that Academy Award. That's our goal. And likewise, with him also, his goal is to make sure that you win, and vice versa, because he's pushing each one of us out here. Doesn't matter what it is, because it starts with you. You know, whether you see wars and so on and so forth, everything that you're seeing with your five senses and stuff that you're not even seeing, you're putting that out there. You know, and it starts with you. So when you walk out of your house, your home, and again, opening your eyes, because you have to ask the question, okay, why is it dark every time you close your eyes? Darkness, it's so evil, it's scary. But you go to bed and it's dark. So there's something there. So again, those type of questions, because now when you start asking those questions when you walk out of your house, just like with you seeing that Fibonacci sequence, you know, that's your projection. And the fact that you ran out, there's something that you were not ready to accept of yourself. And then how many years later, you're here. So now what you're gonna do, whether it be subconsciously or consciously, things are gonna flash in your head, phantom thoughts of your past to your present are gonna keep on coming, and then you're gonna sort it out. And then, you know, as Tallahassee said, don't deal with truth, but you're gonna deal with the truth, which is the facts, because you're the creator. And likewise, each and every one of us here, if we come to it from a perspective like that and build on it, we start to realize that, because even that Moorish world news and Sanet and all that stuff, from your perspective, you're putting that out there because your higher self is giving you the chance to make a choice. Remember, you have free will. You know, there's no winners or losers, but from the perspective of this is your journey, and you have to walk it. And that's why, you know, Grand Sheik will say, you know, you got to go to court yourself, and that's why we're Moors. We represent ourselves because it's about us. We're the driving force. We're the lowering forces. You know, not the de facto policing forces and so on and so forth. So just think about it from that perspective. Yeah, just, you know, that you're pushing it out there and you're taking it in. Everything starts with, you know, and it ends with, and so on and so forth. All right, Islam.
So next week, 1 o'clock, we'll be here. If anybody, don't forget the the 8th of January, we're going to be having our Noble Jubilee Day celebration over at the Steelworkers Union Hall, 25 Cecil Street. Next week, Saturday, the 10th, next Saturday, we're supposed to be in Ottawa to do a lecture with the fam out there. They got a little space for us, so we're going to go out there for the day and be back here in the night. That's about it. So Islam to everybody online and Islam to everybody in attendance. We just close off with the prayer. Face the east. 5 on the left, 2 on the right. Allah, the Father of the universe.
Allah, the Father of the universe.
Father of love.
Father of love.
Truth.
Truth.
Peace. Freedom.
Freedom.
And justice.
And justice.
Allah is my protector.
Allah is my protector.
My guide.
My guide.
And my salvation.
And my salvation.
By night.
By night.
And by day.
And by day.
Through his holy prophet.
Through his holy prophet.
Noble Jubilee.
Noble Jubilee.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Allah.
Islam.